I made it. Hopefully everything will work.
Hello.
Hi. Oh my goodness. When I take a break for a week, I'm always like, do I really want to go live again? Because I know what's waiting for me.
Yeah, I used to host my own lives regularly. I'm the same way.
I'm like, is this really what my time will be best spent doing right now?
hmm
Because sometimes I'm not so sure. Oh, but it's fun. I never know who I'm going to meet, though. It's always worth going live every now and then.
That's the spirit.
We can hope. Hey guys, welcome in. I made it. I almost napped my live away.
And I saved the day.
you did. You're like, hello. Hope everyone has had a good week and have survived. I need to make some more educational videos, but I've just been so lazy. I'm just like, I don't know. I just want to paint and disassociate.
I just want to paint and get elevated.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, y'all, tap the screen.
Hello, guest. Can we get your age and pronouns, please?
I'm 23. My pronouns are she, her.
Okay, great. Which topic would you like to discuss?
First of all, I gotta say, like, your body is like, whew, damn,
Great, thank you.
got a
Which
nice
topic do you
body
want to
on you.
discuss?
Yeah. Um, you should be, yeah, let's talk about you should be vegan.
Okay, great. What is your understanding of veganism?
Veganism is taking in consideration of the animals around you and that you shouldn't harm them. And yeah,
So it's a little bit deeper than that. It simply a stance against exploitation. So we don't think human or non-human animals should be exploited if we don't have to. We have other alternatives. So we don't want to use them for like entertainment or labor or clothing or testing or obviously consumption if we don't have to.
okay. So yeah, basically like clothes, um, circuses, not only just like food, right? Is that your point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to specifically talk about the food part because I agree with you with the other part, like the clothing and stuff, but the like the consumption part is kind of, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just feel like, I go to the gym and stuff, and I've tried the vegan diet. I've eaten soy, lentils, all these rich protein vegan options, and I can't gain any muscle, I had to go back to my normal diet, and I don't know, you tell me. I mean, you got a nice body, you probably work out. Give me your advice.
Have you ever talked to like a plant-based nutritionist or like a registered dietitian when you were making your changes, like dietary wise?
No, if I'm
Um,
being honest with you,
It
no.
yeah, it would be really helpful. I think for whatever kind of dietary change you do, whether it's vegan or pescatarian or Mediterranean, you should talk to a nutritionist to be sure you eat enough calories. That might have been part of the stumbling block is you didn't really figure out exactly what works best for you. Because once and you know how like bodybuilding and things like that, like you don't eat
Mm,
like sometimes a huge variety of food. You get you're accustomed to like your regular stuff. You just didn't find your, like, I guess, your go-to food that like worked for you. So, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
have a free resource. It's called veganeasy.org. You can go talk to a nutritionist. You can implement it more slowly over time to see how like your digestion like adjusts, because some foods you might be intolerant to. So I would say when you go towards the dietary aspect again, like do it more carefully and actually talk to a nutritionist to to start implementing those changes, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, because it's
Okay.
very easy to kind of mess up with dietary changes. And typically what I see when people go plant-based is I mean they don't, it's just it takes a minute to make adjustments, and sometimes people aren't working on it long enough, or it's easiest to just talk to a nutritionist and get kind of meal plans and everything right out the gate.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely try it out. I'll see.
Yeah, like I
I
said,
just gotta,
it's just
yeah,
veganeasy.org. It's a free resource.
yeah, yeah. No, I think we have a nutrition expert in our gym anyway, so I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, my question to you is, this is the final question. How long have you been vegan for?
I've been vegan for about 9 years now, but I did get a degree in
9 years.
clinical nutrition, so I know a lot about nutrition. Um,
Okay.
so so I've been able to like maintain, and this is what people don't realize is like, especially when we see like vegan women having pregnancies and breastfeeding, they actually require more protein than most cis men even do, even when they're working out. Like it
Mm,
takes a lot to grow and breastfeed babies, but we're seeing vegan women are doing just fine. We just have to make sure that they're getting all the nutrients they need, eating enough calories, and just maintaining healthy lifestyles around that. So it's totally possible on plant-based diets. You just have to kind of I guess give yourself a step forward and just talk to nutritionists and look at the research and what the research is showing. Because our anecdotes don't really mean much, especially if we're not really sure, what we're doing exactly when we're switching diets.
all right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being respectful. Have a good evening.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Hi. But yeah, guys, when you're changing diets, no matter what, you should talk to a nutritionist. But you can still be vegan in every other way, even if you can't change your diet right now. No, I don't eat grass.
But you puff it.
Yes. Well, technically, isn't like rice and wheat it's like a grain of a grass, technically.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
Hey there. Can we get your age and pronouns, please?
I'm 18 and I'm here.
Okay, great. Which topic would you like to discuss?
The you should be vegan part.
All right. So,
Um,
what is your understanding of veganism first? Just want to be sure we're on the same page.
I'm guessing first of all the diet as well as the philosophy behind this.
A philosophy of what?
I think it's like against exploitation, I guess.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's just a stance as a whole. We don't want to exploit human or non-human animals if we don't have to.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
So do insects basically count in that paradigm?
Sure. I don't think we should exploit insects if we don't have to either.
Okay, so by driving to work every single day, do you think that you're exploiting insects?
Mm-mm.
Okay, how is that not exploiting insects if you're basically necessarily unaliving insects for your own benefit and just for
Um,
you to get
uh,
to work?
what do you mean unaliving insects? What do
Yeah,
you
so
mean
when you drive
exploiting
a car,
insects?
insects die necessarily, like ants, etc., right? So these are different life forms which are suffering by your action, and
Um,
they die necessarily.
but where's the exploitation? Because an accidental death isn't really exploitation.
It's not accidental if you're fully aware that your actions basically conclude into animal suffering, right?
Um,
So it's not accidental anymore if you know
When
what
I'm
you're doing.
driving to work and a bug's hitting my windshield, I'm not driving to go hit insects.
I'm not talking about like
That's
bugs
not
hitting.
exploitation.
I'm talking about like bugs on the roads, right? So you do know that necessarily when you drive a car, it is as good as impossible to basically not unalive animals, right? Like insects. So with that knowledge, you know that your action is basically killing other species, right?
Yeah, I'm not
And
anti
that's
like
avoidable.
death though. Like sometimes I understand in this world that we're not perfect. When we exist, we can cause harm to others, but I'm not suggesting that everyone should just stop driving cars and off themselves because there are potentially some other animals that might be harmed within their lifetime because we exist. So, veganism isn't anti death, it's anti exploitation. We're here to address human caused exploitation, not accidental deaths that happen just because we're alive. But we can do a lot of things to reduce our environmental impact on a lot of ecosystems. And one of the biggest things you can currently do for insects is going vegan because of all the massive agriculture and deforestation that's happening to sustain animal ag.
Okay, let me ask you this then. How is that an accidental death if you know that necessarily you will kill animals if you drive a car? It's not accidental then.
Yeah, it's accidental. I'm not purposely going out and doing that. And do you understand like the stance? I'm not like anti-death. I understand that some
Yeah, I
harm
know,
can happen.
but I'm
Right.
against the
So
point if you're saying
it's
it's
kind of
accidental.
a silly point when I said like the biggest thing you can do to save our ecology and our insects is by going vegan because the deforestation taking away territories and the massive modern agriculture only happens because of animal ag. Like that's
Yeah,
something we
but
can control.
that's
We
not what
can't
I'm
really
arguing for.
control. We can't really control and make changes to be like, guys, we can't drive cars anymore. Insects might hit your windshield. We can't tell people to stop freaking driving cars. We have utility and like driving cars, saving lives and going to job and like making means of like transportation. But we don't have to be consuming and breeding 92 billion animals per year that are wiping
Yeah,
out
so
entire
that's
ecosystems.
that's not what I'm arguing for. And you're basically saying, yeah, you're basically making the point that accidentally animals will um, be driven to your windshield or something like that. But that's not the point I'm making. And also, let me ask you this then: what is your definition for exploitation?
I mean, the standard definition, like using someone else's body unfairly for gain or benefit. So using someone's body, that could be for labor or entertainment as well.
Okay, so by driving a car, how does that? How do you not qualify for that, or how do you not qualify for exploitation?
I'm not using insects when I drive a car. In
Yeah,
fact,
but you know that your
many
actions.
times of the year, like in winter, there's no insects around being harmed when I'm driving a car.
Yeah, but that's not the case I'm making. So you do know that necessarily when you drive a car, there will be insects that are dying. So
Yeah, but I'm not exploiting
that,
insects intentionally. That's like walking outside, I might accidentally step on an ant. I'm not exploiting the ant.
but
I
is
already
that
said I
action avoid?
conceded that us existing can potentially harm. It's not an anti-death stance.
But is that harm? Wait, is that harm avoidable or not?
Some harm is not avoidable.
So driving a car is not avoidable.
For a lot of people, no, it's not.
What? So it's necessary for a human to drive a car. Is that what you're saying?
For some people, it is. Yes, for some people, it is necessary for them
It's
to.
not. And nope. What?
I could tell you're only 18.
In this time of age, like
Bro,
in
okay, like
2026, wise, yes, yes, it is.
yeah, I mean it's a secondary need, not a primary need. So like 100 years ago, it wasn't necessary for us to drive cars. So
Yeah,
it's not something
it
it's not
depends
something
on
you
the
cannot
society
live
we're
without.
living in. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's not something you cannot live without. You can live without a car. It's entirely possible.
Your point is?
Yeah, my point is basically that what you guys are accusing omnivores or people who eat meat of basically applies to you as well, using your own standard or criteria. So you're exploiting other forms of animals for your own gain. For example,
It's
for your
not
benefit of going to
practical
work.
to not drive a car because of accidentally hitting insects. But I'm just up here wondering, why are
It's
you
not an
guys
accident if you know that your action is going to necessarily lead to that conclusion. It's not accidental anymore.
Well, I'm not getting in my car to go
Let
kill
me
insects.
give you an analogy. So
Okay, no, I'm
let's
not.
say
Shush. I'm not interested in entertaining this because, like, I'm already vegan. I'm already avoiding exploitation unnecessarily. That's human caused, and humans are choosing to do. And I already told you, like, the best thing for insects, since you're so worried about insects, would still be going vegan because of how much deforestation, how much is actually impacting because of animal ag. So you're still contributing to massive ecologies, like insect ecosystems collapsing because people want to eat steak and fucking chicken. So
yeah, that's a too quote.
the topic here is about why you are not vegan.
Yeah, so it's basically so you're responding by too colloquial then.
So why are you not vegan?
Uh, ultimately, because I do not believe that eating animals is something that is inherently evil.
Is what?
It's not inherently evil.
Okay, I'm not saying it's necessarily evil, but isn't it something we should maybe avoid if we have other alternatives and we don't have to do that?
What do you mean by avoid? Do
Like,
you mean like in the sense that we would have to switch to a plant-based diet?
in some cases, yes. Some people like can, sure, but being vegan is more than that. And we
Okay,
already went over the vegan position.
yeah, I know, but we're now talking about consuming animals, right? So you're saying, or let me get this straight. So you're saying that we should prefer a plant-based diet over an animal-based one since it's reducing harm, right? Or avoiding exploitation.
Yeah, if you don't have a reason to consume meat, like medical wise, which it's very rare there's any conditions that actually require that, then yeah, you should adopt more plant based diets to avoid purchasing from industries that are putting baby animals into gas chambers and slaughterhouses. Because it's
Uh,
unnecessary harm.
then what do you have to say about like backyard hens, for example?
They still experience exploitation in slaughterhouses.
No, I'm talking about like chicken, which I have at home, right? So, and those lay eggs like 5 to 10 a day. And okay, what's the exploitation in me like taking the eggs?
Where did you get the chickens from?
I'm and I don't own them. They're basically from my parents. I don't necessarily know where they get them from.
Okay, typically people buy baby chicks from like a feed store, and these baby chicks come from hatcheries. And what happens in these hatcheries is they breed these chickens, they produce a bunch of eggs, but we don't have a way to like sex the eggs yet. So you have like it's about even 50 males, 50 females born. And when they're hatched, typically the males are dispersed and ground alive or suffocated to death and discarded. They're considered waste of the industry. So lots of baby male chicks are right away unalive because they're considered waste. And then the females go on, they lay eggs, and the production of laying over 300 eggs per year is very taxing on their bodies. Chickens are not supposed to be laying that many eggs. We actually modified them to produce the insane amount of eggs that they do, so it does deplete like their nutrients over time. But that being said,
Right.
the exploitation, we're using someone's like bodily resources without consent. But, we're talking about like, you have other alternatives. Why would you go and choose to take something from animal when you can just get your nutrients from a plant-based diet instead?
I'm basically asking for the harm in that. So suppose my hen is basically laying an egg, right? Can you give me a reason for why I should not be able to eat it?
Yeah, because it's not your egg. You should feed it back to her because it restores the nutrients to her body.
But it doesn't eat that.
Chickens do, especially
Yeah.
if you scramble it up. Like they love to consume eggs.
Yeah, but they don't do that naturally, though.
They do. If a hen breaks an egg in the nest, they all flock to go suck the egg up.
I have never seen that,
You
actually.
haven't spent time with chickens then.
What are you talking about?
You
I
haven't
literally-
spent much time with chickens then because
I
chickens
literally
do
have
that
them
a
at
lot.
home.
But you're saying no to something I've seen chickens do regularly. They love to snack on eggs.
Yeah, but either way, what's the evil in me doing or eating the egg?
I'm not saying you're fucking evil, dude.
Yeah, but that's what your whole ethics is about. So you're basically saying that it's immoral to not be vegan, right? So the contrary would be.
I mean, yeah, it can be immoral. Like, there's definitely a lot of actions that are very wrong, but the issue is that you're exploiting someone unnecessarily. Like, you're breeding them into existence and normalizing commodifying their bodies and perpetuating their future generations to also be exploited just because you like the taste.
Okay,
These are
so
some ones, they're not things.
right. So under that definition, I would be evil in like eating the eggs of my chicken at home.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are like confused and don't understand or have fully studied like ethics or thought about their actions, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily evil. Like, just because you're doing something immoral, that doesn't mean that you're evil. I would hope that you'd educate yourself and like strive to be a better person and consider how your actions impact others.
I can hear the last part wasn't audible.
I would hope that you would reflect about how your actions impact others and have empathy for what others experience.
All right. Can I ask you about the last prompt then? That trans men are men.
Sure.
So what is a man in your definition?
A man is a gender identity that aligns to male typicalities.
What are male typicalities?
It's going to be unique to each man, but we typically observe them in like different cultures, and it's going to be a little bit different in every like region. But it's typicalities that we associate more with like masculinity and like men in general, and that could be, like I said, it's going to vary based on cultures.
So to get this straight, so whatever we associate with men are men. Is that what you're saying?
No, I say that there's just typicalities that are going to be unique to each region. I'm saying that, when in some men, it's more manly to wear skirts and other places it's not. But typically in like the United States culture, men typically don't wear dresses. They don't wear makeup. They typically have short hair. They typically are into what's considered masculine, like sports and cars and things like that. Those are typicalities we observe of men.
So are femboys, for example, women?
No, because their gender identity is still man.
How would that follow? If under your definition, everything we associate with femininity in the culture context would basically
Because
be...
at the end of the day, they still identify as men or boys in that situation.
Yeah, but what makes him a man? What makes him a man then?
Do you understand that femboys and trans men are two separate things?
Yes, but I'm attacking that exactly right now. So what makes a femboy a man if they don't possess all the typicalities, as you just mentioned, or...
At the end of the day, they walk through life as a man.
Yeah, but what makes him that in your paradigm?
What's a man to you?
That is irrelevant to what I just asked.
What's a man to you?
I'm making an internal critique.
What's a man to you?
A man to me is an adult human male.
Okay, what's define
But
male?
I know you don't agree with my paradigms, which
Wait,
is why I'm
no,
asking.
I never said that. You're
You
assuming
don't you
stuff.
don't you don't
You're
accept my
assuming
definition.
stuff, dude. Stop making an ass of both of us.
You
Now,
don't accept. We
define
both
now.
put that to
Now,
the
hang
table,
on,
bro.
hang on. Define male.
Yeah, that's just going to be some a human entity with XY chromosomes. But that has nothing
That's
to
the
do with
definition
what
of
I just
male.
said. That has nothing to do.
That's not the definition of male, my dude.
Well, what is it then?
Offer denoting to the sex that can produce small gametes, yada yada yada.
Yeah. So what is fallacious about my definition of a male? A
Because
human
it doesn't
XY
incorporate
chromosome.
everybody.
What was that?
It does not incorporate everybody.
Okay, then
You're
who does it
leaving-
exclude?
Yeah, you're leaving people out. You're leaving people who
What
who
kind of
doesn't-
people?
I'm trying to explain it to you. Shush. Who you're leaving out people who don't males that don't have XY chromosomes. You're leaving out males who don't have the male genitalia. You're leaving out so on and so forth. There's always outliers that you have to account for in your definition. In my definition, the outward denoting to the sex that can produce a small gametes and blah 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 portion, that accounts for all the qualifiers because it's saying of or denoting to. That's the main key of why adult trans men are men and men are adult human males because they identify because they're denoting to that sex. We're not saying that they are that sex, but they are denoting to that sex.
So can I ask, who am I disqualifying by using my definition?
Did he not just listen, chat?
What?
Also,
Bro,
your definition would include cis women. There are cis women that have XY chromosomes, by the way.
Yeah, so that's why they're male.
No.
What do you
Cis
mean, no?
woman, cis,
Yeah.
female at birth.
Yeah, so they would be male in my definition.
Okay, you sit with that.
Bro, okay, so you're
That was an interesting one.
Oh my goodness.
Also, can I get mod powers?
Yes, hold on. I'm sorry.
Yay.
People just overtalk. And my only moderation rules.
Excuse me?
You sound like
Excuse
a
me?
kid. Shush.
Shut the fuck up, little bitch.
I hate feminists.
Yeah, shut the hell up.
Men are
Yeah, no.
feminists.
Thank you.
Children. Feed us this.
My only mod rules is if someone's losing it on the panel, don't immediately drop them. I'll decide when to pull the plug because I kind of like to have people crash out and show us who they are. And no hyper muting in the comments again. I just give them enough so we can let people see how they're like. I'm not super.
Understand.
Yep. Okay. It's not a holy run. Like you said, a cis woman was a man in your definition just because she had XY chromosomes, even though she has
I'm sorry it's being so difficult. Oh, yes.
Nick, are you there? Can you get into a place where there's not someone talk in the background? If y'all are not ready to roll up and start a conversation, remove your request. It just wastes my time. I could be doing so many other fun things other than filtering through guests.
Neil, we're not having a debate with you in the comments.
Yeah, if you guys have questions or concerns or anything you want to address, please request. Hi, can we get your age and pronouns, please?
I'm 18 and my pronouns are male
or he, him.
Okay, great. Which topic would you like to discuss?
What do you mean by trans men? Like, what is it? What's a trans man? Is that someone who was a man or has become a man?
Well, they were a boy and then they became a man. No one's like born a man. But yeah, they've always been a boy and they grow up and become a man.
What do you mean? Trans men?
Yeah, because trans is just a descriptor of what kind of man. But man is just a gender identity that aligns to like male typicalities.
Right, so when you say trans men or men, what? I'm just trying to like get what you mean by what is
Do
a
you know
trans
what
man?
trans is?
Oh, is that a man that becomes a woman or a woman that becomes a man? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Neither. It's
What do you mean?
it's someone who's typically born female, but is a boy or a man.
What?
I think I broke this person's brain.
What?
Yeah, so you know that gender identity and sex are not the same thing, right? They're not always congruent. It's typical that they're congruent, but they're very different.
Yeah.
So boy and man are referring to someone's identity, and male is referring to like their sex.
Right, okay. So
are trans men?
Trans men. So trans from what? Identified as a woman.
They've never identified as a woman
So how are they trans?
because their gender and sex, like they didn't like align with their assigned gender at birth. That's the trans.
Oh, okay.
So their gender identity is something different than they were prescribed at birth. Because when a baby's born, we can't tell their gender. We just see their sex. Like, oh, it's a boy. Oh, it's a girl. But then when kids get old enough, then they can get old enough to tell us who they are. Then we say, oh, well, you're actually not a girl. You're a boy. So we call them trans boy or trans men. But they're boys and men. That's just a descriptor of what kind.
Okay. No, I kind of agree with all of these then.
Okay, cool. Well, awesome. Yeah, keep studying gender theory. It's very interesting because we all have gender identity. Even cis people have gender identity. So it's a really good topic to discuss for everyone.
Okay, right. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good evening. Thank you. Dude, that was nice. He actually was thinking. That's amazing.
Right? Y'all, we have 50 people, 57 people in here. Let's get the likes up to 60, no, 10,000. Let's get the likes up to 10,000 and let's try to get the shares up to 100, please and thank you.
Hello.
Can we get age and pronouns, please?
18, male.
Yeah, that's your sex. What are your pronouns?
He, him.
Okay. And what about you, other guest?
Hey,
Hi, can we get your age and pronouns, please?
I'm 30, and I'm male.
Okay.
Hey
what
girl, what's your pronouns, girl?
Hey, what's up, mama?
What's your pronouns, girl?
I don't really subscribe to pronouns, but I guess if you're asking, I'm he, him.
Cool, thank you.
What do you guys want to talk about of your prompts here?
I mean, which ones do you want to disagree with? We'll start with you first.
I don't know. The God one's crazy. The vegan one's interesting. Trans man's kind of silly. I don't know. It's up to you guys.
It's kind of up to you. I want to know what you disagree with.
Why do you think we should be vegan?
Because these other animals have the same nociceptors, the same pain receptors. They often have very emotional experiences. They have capacity of suffering. So why should we harm them when we have other alternatives, ultimately?
Do you believe a vegan diet is our optimal diet for our species?
I mean, that's kind of irrelevant as we have technology
It's
advancing
definitely
our food.
relevant.
I say it's relevant because we have technology advancing our food, it's not really going to matter so much whether you can digest meat or plants, because we're going to be able to, culture meat products, dairy and egg products. So that's where tech is going. But like the main part is
But if
ethical.
it's immoral if it's our natural diet?
The main part is whether it's ethical to exploit others when we don't have to, because it's not just about a diet type. It's about exploiting them, whether it's testing on them or whether it's like using them for entertainment or labor. It's about commodifying and using them when we have alternatives and we don't have to do that.
I think the argument for, entertainment and clothing is a lot stronger than diet, wouldn't you say?
Not really.
I would agree with him there. Things like testing and entertainment, those are wrong. But then you look at things like food, it's more or less of preference. You can say, oh, I prefer meat, or oh, I prefer being vegetarian. It's not an ultimate diet thing. Yes, you are correct that we are progressing with food, but the main thing with that is if everyone will go along with that. It's either we slowly filter out meat out of our diets entirely, or it's just we try getting everyone to agree to that. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, and it's in moral ways nice. But when it comes to humans, it's more or less of will they choose to fully change their diet and get rid of meat when it's been such a major part of our diets and just history for centuries.
Yeah, I don't
Do you
really
think-
care. I don't really care what we did in history. History is a really horrible argument. There's a lot of horrible things that have been a part of humankind. I think that absolutely are atrocious and we should stop doing. I'm not saying I'm anti-meat eating. Like I said, I'm not concerned
not?
about that because we're
You're
going to have
not?
alternatives. No, I'm not. Like, I'm not anti-eat-meeting. I'm anti-exploitation.
Eat meeting? Sorry.
But what counts as exploitative in this sense?
Is
If you
fishing
say-
exploitation?
Yes, fishing is exploitation.
Do you think it's possible that it's not even appropriate to morally judge us for what we eat, considering it's literally as natural as the sunrise?
I don't care about natural. Natural is a horrendous argument as well. Like, natural fallacies
Well,
are
it's-
horrible arguments. Like, I don't care what's
But-
natural or what's historical for us. We need to see what we can do to avoid unnecessary harm. Like, what is
Hold on.
necessary or not.
But if it's
Something
natural, is it-
or being old doesn't mean it's necessary.
Is it possible, though, that it's not even appropriate to assess it morally? Like, there's some subjects it's not even appropriate.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's not appropriate? If there's a sentient individual being harmed...
Do you judge a
it's
lion for
appropriate.
killing a gazelle or a fish for killing another fish?
No, I don't, because they're not moral agents like you.
Well, what if
But why is
It's
that
just
wrong
your
if they're not moral
your
agents?
subjective morality?
Yeah, real quick. This is just a bad line of reasoning, right? Because there's a lot of things that seem natural to us, right, that we engage in, but there are contexts that that type of activity fall into where it is appropriate to gauge whether it's moral or not. It is appropriate to judge it. Like, for example,
Says who?
natural-
Says you in your subjective opinion?
what do you mean? It says,
Well, I
that
mean,
it's-
isn't morality
what do you-
subjective ultimately, or are you suggesting that morality is objective?
does it regardless of the meta-ethical position? We're
It's an
talking
important
about-
question.
No,
Well,
it's
if
not.
we're talking about
It's not.
meta-ethical,
Look, I'll demonstrate why it's not.
It's a very important question.
Yeah, it's not. I'll show you why it's not.
It
right?
is.
You're
Okay,
highly
sure.
confused. You're highly confused.
I'm not, but
Regardless,
go ahead.
yeah. Maybe you shut up while
Calm
I'm
down.
talking.
It's okay.
Yeah. Calm down. Don't interrupt while I'm in the middle of
Control your
explaining
emotions, buddy. It's okay.
how you're extremely confused. Regardless of the meta-ethical position,
You're stuttering. Control yourself.
Yeah, look, if you're gonna do this thing where you interrupt when I begin to school you, then I'm gonna drop you.
Wait,
It's that
hang on,
easy.
hang on.
Just calm
that
down.
easy?
One second.
You're getting
One
worked
second.
up. Relax.
Time out.
So, like, look,
I'm sorry. 1 second. don't make fun of someone that's stuttering. That's ableism. Thank you.
Well,
Stop that.
when we're having a perfectly
Let's
peaceful conversation, he hops
do
in and starts
not
getting all heated. Just relax, bro.
attack someone that's
Look,
stuttering.
look, just because I'm
Ableism,
pressing
hold
you,
on.
just because I'm pressing you doesn't mean I'm heated, right? I'm just correcting you, and
You're definitely heated. It's okay though.
And you seem to be offended at the fact that I'm correcting you.
You're
okay.
heated, bro. Calm
Look,
down.
Nobody's heated here. Nobody's heated. If you want me to get heated, I could definitely get heated with you.
Oh no, you're gonna
Okay.
kick me to assert your power, bro. It's okay, man.
No,
It's
I'm
okay.
not gonna kick you. I'm not gonna kick you. I'm just gonna mute you until I get my point out. But it's okay. I understand that you're afraid to listen to my point.
I'm not afraid of anything. You're heated. Just relax. Just say your point. Just say your point.
Then if you're not afraid, you won't interrupt me. Because
Why are you talking like this if you're not heated? Why, dude?
The moment that you interrupt me, it just demonstrates that you just don't want to hear the point, that you're wrong. Right?
I'm just pointing out you're heated for no reason. But
Okay,
carry on.
great. No, nobody's heated here. Look, I know you're scared. You're scared for no reason. You're scared for no reason. That's why you keep on interrupting. But it's okay.
All right, bro.
It's okay that you're scared because I'm going to demonstrate how
I'm
wrong you
terrified,
are.
bro. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Look, calm down. Your fear is making you
I'm terrified, bro.
Look, your fear is making you speak over me, right? That's the only way that you think that you're in control.
You're
You
embarrassing.
think that you're in control by over-speaking me, but it's just a demonstration of your fear. It's
You're
okay.
muting me, bro.
Look, calm down. Look, everybody here, look, in front of the 60 people that are up here, listening to how embarrassing you are right now, it's okay. Just calm down. It's okay. Take a breather.
You're muting me.
I know I'm dominating you in this panel.
You're muting me because
in the rhetoric, not only in the rhetoric, but
because you're
also
scared.
in substance. But it's okay.
You're muting me because you're scared.
Look, I'm muting you. I'm not even touching it. So, look, let me demonstrate why you're wrong. Yeah. Regardless of your meta-ethical position, what we're talking about here is a normative framework. We're talking about normative ethics. Meta-ethics has nothing to do with normativity because you could be an anti-realist or a realist, and you could both agree on moral frameworks like, lying
Stick to the topic at hand, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm speaking. What do you think that I'm trying to address? Yeah, what do you think I'm trying to address? Go ahead. Repeat the point that I'm trying to rebut.
Are you suggesting morality is objective?
Oh, that's a question. No. Your task.
Well, that was the question before you popped.
No. I'm sorry. The question here is, can you repeat the point that I'm trying to rebut? Questions are not statements. Make the statement.
I'm having an emotional melt.
Make the statement that I'm trying to rebut here. Go ahead.
You were originally answering my question, which was, are you suggesting morality is objective?
Yeah, and I answered that. What was the point that I answered?
Well, you didn't answer. You just said no.
No, I said it's irrelevant. This is how I know that you're. This is how I know that you're not tracking, right? I said it was irrelevant. I said the meta-ethical position is irrelevant insofar as we're talking about normativity. And I gave you an example. Can you repeat the example that I gave to substantiate the fact that meta-ethical positions are irrelevant to normative discourse? Go ahead.
We're having a discussion.
Somebody's stunlocked now. Somebody's stunlocked. They can't even answer the question. He's
You're
laughing here out of.
You're embarrassing.
All right, go ahead. So repeat the point that I said. What was the example?
We're having a discussion about the morality.
I'm sorry. What was the example?
You're muting me. I can't even talk.
I'm sorry. What was the example that I gave in terms of why the meta-ethical position is irrelevant? Go ahead.
We're having a discussion about the morality of consuming
that's a
animals.
dodge number 2. Look, man,
because you're not addressing my question.
Look, I definitely addressed it when I said it's irrelevant.
You didn't.
Right? I said it's irrelevant, and I substantiated the fact that it's irrelevant with an example. Now, can you put on your tracking goggles and track the conversation? What was the example that I gave in order to substantiate the point that it's irrelevant?
Hey, host,
Go ahead.
Hey, host, I keep getting muted. It's kind of cringe.
I'm not even near my phone, bud.
Yeah, Jim's not muting you. Aaron, just lay off the mute for a second.
Whoever's muting me, it's cringe as fuck. Why even have me here?
Yeah, so can you go ahead and repeat the point that I gave to substantiate
Bro, you
the fact
hopped
that it's
in,
irrelevant?
you derailed the conversation. You're not even
Oh,
talking about what we were talking
look
about.
at him going to meta and dodging the question.
It's because
He
I'm
can't
ignoring
track.
your
What a
irrelevant
blunder on
tangent.
your part. Calm down. You're
Okay,
getting
you're
really
emotional,
hysterical now. You're getting really hysterical. Calm down. I know
You're getting
afraid.
worked up.
I
You're
know
not making
you're
any
afraid.
irrelevant point.
I know you're afraid. You asked the question and I showed you how you were wrong. I explained that I was going to show you how you were wrong. And now that I've demonstrated that you're wrong, you can't even track the conversation to even steel man the point that I gave.
You didn't show me I'm wrong. But okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Steel man the point that I gave.
You're literally just yelling over me.
Yo. Now look at stuttering Steve over here.
Oh, don't make fun of me if I'm stuttering. Don't make fun of me, bro.
Steel man the point. Steel man the point that I gave.
I keep getting muted, bro. I don't know.
Look at you nervous laughing over here. Look, I'll repeat it because I know that you weren't paying attention. So I'll repeat it for you. Look.
I asked you if morality is objective, and all you did was say no. You said
it's irrelevant to the conversation, right?
Well, what makes it relevant?
You bringing up
it's not irrelevant to a discussion about the morality of eating animals, bro.
Do you know the difference? Here, let me explain. Do you know the difference between meta ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics?
It's not relevant to what we're discussing.
I'm sorry, that's dodge number 4. Can you answer what is the difference between meta ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics?
When you make a point that's relevant to the conversation, I'll address it.
I am, because you're bringing up meta ethics and we're talking about normative ethics. It's very relevant to the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
Holy blunder on your part.
Let's restart this conversation here.
Great. Well, let's restart the conversation then. Now that I've sufficiently dog-walked you on fucking ethics that you're very underread about.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Because you have no idea what these 3 things are. Look at you dodge to the fucking corner when I press you on the difference between meta ethics and normative ethics, right? Can you at least name me 3 different meta ethical positions? Go ahead.
Even if I couldn't, does it further your argument in this discussion about veganism?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, elaborate. Go ahead.
Yeah, it demonstrates how very wrong you are in the position when you made the statement. When you made the statement, it's normal for us to eat food. So therefore, does it even fall within the discourse of being able to judge it in terms of whether it's right or wrong? Do you remember that?
Well, if you were to judge it, are you judging it with objective morality or just your subjective opinion?
It doesn't matter because see.
What do you mean? If it's just your subjective opinion,
I'll explain again because this is like the 4th time that you're not tracking. Look, when we're talking about normative frameworks, for example, deontology, utilitarianism, consequentialism. In this case, vegan ethics.
Bro, the chat is saying you're embarrassing.
This is normative ethics.
The chat is calling you out for embarrassing yourself, bro.
Look, you're not even paying attention to what I'm saying.
That's I want chicken, bro.
Like, look. Repeat what I just said. Repeat what I just said so that I know that you're listening.
They're cowards hiding behind the mute button. Read it, bro. Read the chat.
Go ahead.
Oh, can males be lesbian?
Please don't pivot the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you're here discussing like ethics, so of course we're gonna talk about veganism.
I've spent the last 5 minutes being muted every 4 seconds.
Yeah, because you are talking over people and interrupting. You're not here to like get educated, and we're trying to educate you, and you're not listening. It's very frustrating to try to educate someone and they're not listening and trying to just fool around.
So if you're making,
are you interested in ethics?
I was enjoying the conversation. Actually.
Okay, so do you understand why objective morality is irrelevant when we're talking about normative frameworks, which veganism has to do with?
Maybe I'm just not well informed. What is the differences between the two?
I keep getting muted, bro. Sorry.
I'll explain it to you. So when we're talking about meta ethics, what we're trying to talk about is the nature of morality, right? Whether morality is something that's real in the world, whether it's something that is made up by like social constructs, right? What is the nature of morals, right? That's what meta-ethical discourse aims to try to discuss. When we're talking about normative frameworks, what we're trying to discuss is like rules that guide day-to-day actions. So one could say, look, I think something is good insofar as it provides the majority of utility to the greater amount of people, right? And this would be something like, utilitarian type of framework. I don't know who it is that has the background, but if you could mute yourself, that would be great. Maybe it's just, yeah, of course it's knife out. You have a lot of background noise. So
Of course, because you're emotional. It's okay, buddy.
no, it's because it's hard to listen when you're like
Of course, it's knife out.
you're in
Got
a
it,
fucking
dude.
chamber or something. Like, where are you? So when
Your
we're talking
sister's
about-
house, bro.
Yeah, I don't have a sister, dumb fuck.
It's wait 9 months, bro. Ask your mom about it.
Oh my god. So you're saying that you're with my unborn sister, so you're okay fucking little
Okay,
children? Is that
bro.
what
It
you're
was a
saying?
fucking
Whoa,
joke.
whoa,
Is
Relax.
that what you're
Hold on,
saying?
hold
That's
on.
kind of disgusting.
You're
Are
like
you
a
saying
girl
it's
with a
okay to
penis.
care
You're
about little
emotional,
kids?
bro.
You're making that claim when he has not said that.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, that's the difference between norm and a framework. So like when we're talking about, let's say, vegan ethics, right? We're talking about a framework where we're trying to lay out a principle, right? Where we're trying to minimize harm of other sentient beings, right? Whenever it's possible or practical. That has nothing to, like, you and I could both agree. You could think that morality is made up by people, and I could think that morality is something that's true about the world. We could have different views on the nature of morality, but we could both agree within the same framework, right? And now we're discussing whether the frameworks work.
But
or
you're just
don't work.
imposing your framework on me subjectively. Objective
not.
about your opinion.
You
You
don't even
are.
know the word. Like, you don't even understand the words you're saying. You could. How can you?
You're just getting Rick rolled, bro, and your
hey,
feelings are hurt. It's
hey,
okay.
How can you impose?
You came bursting in here trying to make a point. You got schooled.
Listen to this question. How can you impose your perspective objectively? Go ahead.
I would never suggest that morality is objective. You're the one suggesting that.
When did I suggest? When did I give my meta-ethical view?
When
Did I
you
ever
thought
say
that you can judge me for my diet, you're trying to act as if it's an
Oh my
objective
God.
moral
This
position.
guy,
It's
this guy
objective.
is so lost, right? You could understand that both of us could be anti-realists about morality, and we could have different normative
Just stick
frameworks.
to the topic at hand,
Hey,
kid.
dumb fuck! What do you think I'm answering here? What do you think
You're
I'm
not
answering?
answering the
dumb
question
fuck?
about veganism.
I am. Look, you understand. I am answering it because you're the one that pivoted the conversation to meta ethics, or can you not even track the questions that you're laying
You
out?
pivoted the conversation, bro. Let's get fucking
What?
real.
When I said that we're trying to minimize harm, and you're like, well, are you saying that because morality is objective or
So is
subjective?
normative ethics the only lens that's appropriate to judge this question through?
Yeah, because we're talking about normativity here. We're talking about
So meta ethics, it doesn't apply whatsoever. Is that what you're saying?
No, it doesn't. It's irrelevant.
It doesn't apply to whether or not we should harm animals?
Yeah, what's the argument that it does? Go ahead.
Well, is there not an overarching principle here, whether we're talking about norms within society or not? There's an overarching principle whether animals have intrinsic value, correct?
Yeah, that's a normative discussion.
That would be meta ethics.
No, it's not. No, it's not. How is understanding whether animals have values or rights something that has to deal with the nature of morality?
Dude, you are so out in the fucking weeds on this
Answer the
question.
question. Answer the question.
Your question is not even relevant to what we're talking
It
about.
is because look, dumb fuck. Meta ethics deals with the nature of morality. Whether morality exists, whether it's made true in virtue of something about the world, whether it's made true in virtue of our own stances. That's what meta ethics deals with. It has nothing to do
Does
with
morality
normativity.
exist?
Exist in what sense?
Is there in any realm here an objective morality, or is it all subjective?
Why is that
Does
relevant?
an objective moral standard exist, generally speaking?
Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant? Explain why. Why
How
do you
can
think that
it
that's
not
relevant?
be relevant when we're talking about killing animals or not?
Explain why do you think it's relevant?
Because we're talking about, is it moral to harm an animal unnecessarily or not?
Right.
It's not about a societal norm. Do they have intrinsic value?
But does killing an animal for food unnecessary?
Do you think that when we're talking about
Doesn't matter if it's necessary.
Listen, do you think that when we're talking about hold on a second.
Whoa.
Do you think that when we're talking about like principles about what should guide our actions. For example,
Is there an objective standard for what should guide our
Yeah.
actions?
Do you think that it turns on whether morality is objective or subjective?
Of course it does.
Why? Go ahead. Tell
If
me
it's
why.
just purely subjective, you can't point to any
Why?
objective standard, then it's your subjective evaluation versus mine.
So what? So what if let's say it's all
Okay, so
subjective?
then you can say I shouldn't eat meat, and I say I should. Okay, who's right? Is there an objective standard?
What do you think the whole point of the discussion is right now?
To establish whether or not it's moral to consume animals as humans.
Right.
That's the whole
How do
point
you
of it.
how do you think that we solve moral disagreements?
I'm not even sure that we can. That's why I'm asking. Are you suggesting that there's an objective standard, or are you saying it's all subjective?
So you don't think that even let's
Just
say
answer the question. Is there an objective standard you can point to?
I'm answering. Shut the fuck up. Let's say that morality is all subjective, right? And it all depends on, let's take some anti-realist position, right? Because subjectivism is just one anti-realist position, right? There's
But
different
is that your actual position? Is it all?
Hey, quiet while I talk, all right? Be a good boy. Hush up.
You're 5'4". Don't tell me to be quiet.
Yeah. This is the fifth time.
You're
Hush
5'4". Don't tell me to.
Hush up. All right. Even if I was 5'4" and you were in front of me,
I rest my elbow on your head.
I would still jump up and bitch slap you like the little bitch that you
weigh
are.
120.
Right?
Using what, a trampoline?
All right, look.
Boing,
look,
boing.
let's get serious. Let's get serious here. Look, let's get serious here.
Yeah, super serious, bro.
Even if like we both think that morality is based on our own opinions or what we think. Right?
I'm asking what your actual opinion is. Is it subjective, or can you point to an objective standard?
It doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. You're the one that's making the claim.
So is it objective then?
Hold on. So do you think that, let's say morality is all subjective and it's all based on opinions? Therefore,
is that what you think?
Therefore, do you? I'm investigating your view, dumb fuck. Like, look,
you don't even know my view, bro.
You just said that you think morality is subjective.
I didn't. I asked you if you think there's an objective standard.
No.
What is your? Stop dancing around. What is your position?
Look, my position is irrelevant to the conversation.
Oh,
but
my God,
if you want my position,
then leave the conversation. If you don't have a position on the phone.
Hey, here, I'll give you what my position is, and I want you. Since you were so,
my position is behind your sister.
Since you were quite, that's the second time that you're talking about. That's the second time that you're talking about wanting to fuck a little kid.
Oh, I know, dude. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay that you think that that's
yeah,
fine to
man,
fuck a little
totally,
kid.
for sure, dude. Yeah,
it is okay. It's okay for you to fuck little kids.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if you want that guy on your panel, but he just confirmed like 3 times he's okay with like fucking kids.
Okay. That got very derailed. May I make an argument for with a different topic, or should we stick with the veganism topic?
Oh, it's up to you, man.
I mean, why aren't you vegan yet, dude?
For me, I'm not vegan because that's just how I've been raised, how I've adapted to this world of just, I like meat, so I'm just going to continue eating it. I'm not saying veganism is a bad lifestyle. It's not. It's more or less opinionated. If someone has the opinion of one should be vegan or it is right to be vegan, that is their right and that is their opinion. It's just my opinion and my right that I like meat and I shall eat meat. In this case, it's totally subjective if one should or shouldn't be vegan.
Okay, I know that you like to eat meat. So if we had food where they gave you like a plant-based option, it was still meat, tastes like meat, was delicious like meat, the burger tasted the same as the animal burger, and then we had an animal burger, which one would you choose?
Like, is this in the case of a restaurant or just these were 2 options in front of me? One was practically identical with meat, but with plants, and the other is meat.
It doesn't matter. It could be at a grocery store or restaurant. Like, the product is there, the options are there. Which one would you choose?
I mean, if, say, the plant-based one was cheaper, and I have tried it, and I know it's going to be like this, I would buy that one, because it's both cheaper, and I know it's going to be the same.
What if they cost the same? What if they cost the same? Exactly the same. Which one would you choose?
That one's a much more difficult question of just preference. Oh, say, texture or things like that. It's kind of... I feel like either or is fine. But if it's like, say, in this case, identical, sure, the plant-based one.
Yeah, because you understand that, when you choose like the plant-based option,
It's going to be the same, but you can't say that with every single plant-based food. It could be different. It's more just a matter of opinion if you find it the same or different.
well, I'm just going to say the plant-based option didn't require someone to be pushed into like a gas or slaughter chamber to produce.
But we're counting animals as people?
They're sentient individuals with subjective experiences. They have the same pain receptors, they have emotions, they feel isolation, they have capacity of suffering. So they very much morally matter.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the point of being vegan is, we have other options. Why not choose the other options instead of pushing
But other
them into
options
situations they don't want to be in?
Other options could be as expensive or more than just buying meat. It's more or less just an opinionated matter of, do you feel like animals do have these things, do have emotions? Even if there are articles, it's still can be a matter of opinion of, oh, I believe they do or I believe they don't, which I could be wrong about this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the whole idea of veganism is you have the idea that they have feelings, emotions, pain receptors, as you said?
Well, these aren't just beliefs. Like, this is science. Like, the Declaration of Consciousness by Cambridge University it definitely puts into detail and perspective, like, consciousness and our observation of it. And we do observe these animals don't want to be in these situations. They do suffer immensely. This isn't just a belief. This is, like, a fact.
You do make fair points, and I honestly do not know how to rebuttal with this. Maybe it be my lack of knowledge or just me not being the most intelligent. I don't know. I just don't know how to rebuttal with this. But I do think you're right.
Maybe you don't have to rebuttal. Maybe you could acknowledge, like, yeah, if we have other options, maybe we should be vegan.
No, yeah, I agree. If we have other options and they're widely and easily accessible, we should. But if in certain cases, it might not be as accessible or might not be as easy to acquire.
So veganism is going to look different for everyone. So even if, like I said, I met some person, she had a very serious, rare condition where she can't digest plant matter at all. She basically lives on like formula. It's not a good life to live in that regard. Like, she doesn't want to be in that position. Her entire family's vegan, but she can't be vegan fully, like at least diet-wise, but she's still vegan in every other way. So veganism is going to look different for some people, but we understand like the goal is to get away from these exploitative industries and find solutions for everyone that won't involve unnecessary animal cruelty.
I agree. It's a very fair argument. And I thank you for having this a calm and intellectual discussion.
Well, it helps that you stay on track and are not getting derailed.
No, it's very fair. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Hey, have a good night, man.
Thank you, Jim, for handling the previous. Oh gosh, he's back in the request. He wants some more.
Oh man,
dude.
Look at that. He's just vying for my attention. It's crazy.
He liked that.
He likes to get domed in conversations, I guess. It's nuts.
I think it's funny you kind of play into it a little bit for them too. It's entertaining.
It is. It is.
Oh my gosh, people left. They were like, oh, a regular conversation. This is too much.
Yeah, we were up to 60 plus when I was gotta give the masses what they want. Oh boy. How's your night been so far?
It's been pretty good. I took a little nap. I almost didn't go live, but Calspur is like, hello, go live.
Well, all right, yeah. Why should I be vegan?
Can we get your age and pronouns, please?
21. Him.
Okay, great. So you want to talk about the vegan topic?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. So yeah. What is your point on why should I be vegan? Why is being British crazy as well? What the fuck?
Don't read the comments. Come on.
A&B conversation. Don't worry about the comments. You're up here with.
Instant loss. All right, Damien. All right, pal. Anyway, so yeah, why should I be vegan?
Yeah, so a very good way to lead into that conversation is, do you support animal abuse, abuse being defined as unnecessary harm?
Well, I feel like it depends, yeah? Your version of animal abuse and my version of animal abuse is different, yeah? Because,
It's probably not.
well, I don't believe slaughtering cows and pigs are like animal abuse. It's sustenance.
Okay, what if we put those dogs in a gas chamber? Is that abuse?
Well, considering like dogs can be domesticated, and a dog knows right from wrong, yeah, and even they'd still
No, they
eat them.
don't. They
A dog does not know
understand. They
right from wrong.
understand suffering like cows and pigs do. In fact, pigs are far more intelligent than dogs.
So you do not think dogs know right from wrong?
No, they're moral patients.
If your dog shits on the floor, yeah, and you tell it off, do you not think he'll digest the fact? Hold on, let me not do that again.
I mean, you can like train dogs to like avoid punishment or
What's going on?
seek positive rewards. That's how we train them to like be house trained and things like that. But that doesn't mean that they understand morals.
What is going on?
You good, SP?
Are you right there? Did you lose connection?
Yo, guest, you good?
Hold on, my Wi-Fi's moving straight booty cheeks. What's going on? Anyway, yeah, I'm back. I'm back. My Wi-Fi's going mad. So,
Did you
what is
hear
your
what the
argument?
host said?
Oh no, I didn't hear absolutely nothing. She just froze, had some awkward face going on, and then I came back.
Okay, so yeah, I said that you can train dogs to not go
Yeah.
potty in the house by either positive reward or punishment.
Mhm.
But that's not the same as understanding morality and understanding that maybe unaliving another dog is wrong to do. They don't understand the concept of harm, the consequences of harm like humans do. They're considered moral patients like small children. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like, how you came to that conclusion?
By observing, like, they don't understand the consequences of harm. They don't follow like moral codes and stuff, or ethics like humans do.
I don't get how you came to that conclusion though. Because who are you to say? Yeah, dogs don't know. Dogs don't know right from wrong.
Because I've worked with dogs, and yeah, they'll unalive like their friend that they've known for like 5+ years if they disagree over something. Sometimes, like, they don't understand like the consequences of harm and things like that like humans do. And humans, what's crazy about humans though
do
is
that as well.
what's crazy though is humans do understand the consequences of harm, and they choose to do things anyway, like mass farm and slaughter 92 billion animals per year.
Mhm.
Even though it's like destroying our ecosystems and causing a lot of devastation, especially to like, people of color and indigenous communities. And, humans are choosing to do insane amount of harm to others just because they can for profit and taste.
Yeah. So you don't agree with the fact that eating animals is a natural instinct for humans.
I think
You
that
don't agree with that
consuming
argument.
I think that consuming and seeking nutrients is natural. I don't think you have to
Yeah.
get those nutrients from animals. So the natural argument is silly.
All right. So if we've inherited genes, yeah, from the past repetitively for so many years, so many years back, naturally we would go hunt and seek nutrition from animals in the wild. So why would we not have that? Like, obviously, you can just wake up one day and think, you know what, this is wrong. Because I do understand the argument, yeah, it is wrong. But why should we, like, why do you agree that we should be vegan and not, like, rely on what we've known for 1,000 years? Okay, how is this embarrassing for a fellow Brit? I'm generally just trying to learn, bro. Anyway, yeah, I need to stop reading the comments. Go on, my bad.
I mean, it's simply because we have more understanding of nutrition. We have technology now. We're able to observe, like, hey, realistically, it's becoming very difficult to supply meat for all 8 billion humans. It's far more efficient to be on a plant-based food system, take advantage of technology to grow food in more efficient ways and cheaper ways and less impactful ways. Because animal ag is currently causing a lot of issues, and one day it'll actually be cheaper to get plant-based or cultured meat products versus consuming animals because of how intensive it is, land-wise, water-wise, pharmaceutical-wise, to grow so many animals. Like, we are reaching numbers that we can't really just everyone go get a pew pew and go hunting. Like, that's not realistic for how many people we have to feed.
Well, I've just seen a good point in the comments, even though I said I'm not going to read them, yeah? Humans created dogs out of wolves. Dogs aren't psycho killers like their ancestors were, same as us, yeah? What's your thoughts on that?
I would disagree that wolves are psycho killers. I don't agree with that. But that being said, you could find pack mentalities in dogs, and I would say that domestic dogs are actually like the leading cause for a lot of like attacks to livestock and humans, versus wolves are not nearly as much. Granted, there's a lot more dogs and everything, but no, I wouldn't say wolves are psycho killers. I don't think that's a good descriptor, unless maybe they had rabies.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. Yeah, that's all I've got to know.
Okay. So, I mean, have you thought about going vegan and starting to apply like your ethics? Like, hey, I don't like support unnecessary animal abuse, so maybe changing out your shampoo and conditioner to like a cruelty-free product. Not going to like circuses or zoos, watching what products you buy that they don't have like leather or animal testing. Like, have you thought about this before?
No, but in all fairness, this is a bit anecdotal. I did go to a zoo a couple of months ago, and there was just some animal just doing laps in a zoo, and I did feel bad for it, but I don't think that's going to change. Like, you can feel bad for anything. I don't think it's not going to change my lifestyle, but I do agree with the point that like zoos, they are quite wrong because they're putting animals in jail just for the point of this for human like entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of get the ethical concern, for that. So maybe next time, instead of going to a zoo, seek out animal sanctuaries in your area and go to a sanctuary and give your money to sanctuaries instead. Because some of them will let you. Some of them will let you come on site and like get to know animals, like actually spend time with them. And it's a really good experience. I recommend, even if you're not vegan, doing that so you can kind of learn about these animals a little bit more and understand them.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you for your time. It's good to learn. All right, cheers.
Sure.
Cheers.
Yeah, that was refreshing. Oh, look at this guy.
Look at this guy. Jim's ultimate op.
Hey, Damien, did you want to talk about one of the prompts, or are you just here?
Let's see. You should be vegan. I agree, even as I'm a person who consumes animal products. I tried to PG-13 it a bit. Gods are man-made. Well, I'm a Christian, but I mean, I can agree just for the sake of the prompt. The third one, trans men are men. I agree with that. I guess we could talk about the vegan part. I've actually been meaning to talk with Jim about this, so since we're all here, I guess we could do a big group convo if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Hold on, new guest. Can we get your age and pronouns, please?
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah, the British guy.
Okay, so I'm 21, and I'm a man. I don't use pronouns, just call me he, him. That's just for the sake of it.
You said you don't use pronouns, and you said I.
I don't do the,
But you just used a pronoun.
Bear with me, mate.
I is a pronoun, dude.
I'm talking about I don't use they, them, but we're not going to get into that now. I don't support that stuff. We're just not going to get into
this guy. I'm not even that bad.
Pipe down,
He, him,
Buttercup.
his.
Right, let me
You're
say
a
my
he,
point.
him, his.
Pipe
It's not
down,
that hard.
Buttercup. Come on now, buddy. Come on, be quiet. Let me speak. Okay.
Oh, you're speaking, all right. We can hear
Pipe
you.
down,
You're
you
speaking.
fucking squeaky bastard. Come on.
You're a child, mate.
What's
Okay,
he
Yes,
doing?
so
I'm 33 and a child. Awesome, cool.
Yeah.
I'll fill this up, big man.
You is a pronoun. Just in case.
That's good for you, mate. Right. Can I say my argument?
well, which one were you want to talk about?
Trans men are men.
Okay, hold on just a sec. We're going to talk about veganism first, so just sit there. All right. So what's your understanding of veganism, Damien?
From what I have heard from everyone here that I know so far, it's like reducing harm as much as possible. So like no factory farming, if I'm correct. No, like for clothing would be like no leather because that comes from certain animals. So like try to have animal-free clothing. I don't know what type of clothing that would be specifically because I don't know how many types of clothing are made from animals. So I would need to be more educated on that. But that's what I take from it so far.
Yeah, so ultimately it's a stance against exploitation. So we don't want to use like human or non-human animals for, exploitative purposes like labor, entertainment, products, etc. If we don't have to. So that's really the basis of
Yeah,
ethics.
I would definitely say I'm not a fan of zoos or like anything like that. Like where I live in Canada, marine land. I know that's not like a zoo, but like a water park for animals, whatever you want to call it. They have had some really bad practices over the last few years. I didn't even know this for the first while, but when I found that out, I was actually like disheartened. I know that's kind of a contradiction since I eat animal products. I know, but I'm a bit younger, so I'm like, really? That was very disappointing since all those ads, I'm like, it definitely made me think a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
I think in the future, sorry, go on.
I mean, yeah, so I mean, you already kind of get like the basic ethics. I mean, I get people that come up here, it's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with putting orcas in aquariums. It's like, guys, come on. So you kind of already get like the basics of the ethics. So, it's just veganism is not something you don't have to do it all in one day. It's like, thinking about areas in your life, even if your diet was the last thing to change, it's thinking about everything, like, the new furniture you buy, your hygiene products that you buy, and just thinking about like, what are the practical changes I can make right now.
Do you know which, like, besides leather, obviously, like, what type of clothing, excluding cotton, like the basics, like, what type of clothing would be considered from animals? Do you know?
I'm trying to think. There's wool, there's types of fleeces, of course, leather products.
Just so I know for the future, like if I ever try to go down the vegan path, I want to.
Yeah, typically, I'm trying to think. The main ones to look out for are like silk, wool, fleece, and leather products, I think are the most common.
Sounds good. I got to do something quickly, so if you want to, if you want to talk to the other guest, I'm happy to step away for a minute.
All right, no worries. Calcifer, are you ready?
Yes. Brit guy, why do you not agree trans men are men?
This is gonna be fun. Well, let me just ask this: are you trans?
Look at my bio, bro.
I can see by the profile picture, big man. I don't need to look at the bio.
Now answer the question: why aren't trans men?
Okay, so this is fun, right? Okay, so biological sex is hardcoded into DNA, but the thing is, medical and social transitions, they alter outward appearance, but the thing is, they do not change the underlying biological reality of that person's biological sex.
Do you understand that we're not saying that we're the opposite sex? Like, even though I'm a trans woman, I'm not finished yet, bud. Even though even though I am a trans woman, I am not female. I agree that I am not female. I understand that I am not female. However, my gender identity, which is social and psychological, as a woman.
Were you born a man, if you don't mind me asking?
Who was born 18 years old, bruh? Were you born 18 years old out of your mom?
Are you tapped, mate? I've just said, are you a man?
Is sex and gender the same thing to you?
I don't use no gender identity. It's sex, like male and female.
You're not answering my question,
You're born a
dude.
man, brother.
You're not answering my question. Do you think sex and gender, not gender identity, sex and gender are the same thing? Yes, no?
Yes.
Why?
Right then. Okay. What does gender mean to you? Because I know there's like fucking thousands of different things out there.
No, you gotta answer my question first. I'm not answering your question. Answer my question.
I'm asking you a question to answer.
I don't give a shit. Answer my question. Why is sex and gender the same thing to you? I can use your.
Little fucking
I'm
cunt,
using
right?
your
Answer my
logic.
question.
Give
Come
me
on,
your
man.
logic.
Don't get all soft on me. Come on.
You can't even if I were wet down there, you can't even get
You're a
me.
man, my friend.
Now answer my question. Why do you think sex and gender are the same thing?
What does gender mean to you so I can...
What does gender mean to you so we can use your logic?
Are you taps, mate? I'm saying what does gender mean to you? Don't use my own question.
No.
Come on.
I told you it's a psychosocial construct.
Okay, so me personally. Wait, so you're talking about like they them bullshit or non-binary, right? That's the social
identity.
construct.
We're not talking about identity.
Right. Bear with me.
Do 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 do. Well,
so gender expression or identity.
Yes, gender expression and is gender identity. Yes.
Which one are you on about? You're talking about expression, right?
Is he daft?
Are you tapped?
Daft? I said gender as a whole. I'm not talking about identity or expression. I'm talking about gender as a whole.
Gender as a whole.
Yes.
Well, apparently,
you gave me a question. You gave me a question as to what gender means to me. Gender is psychosocial. It's a psychosocial schema. I wasn't talking about gender identity. I was not talking about gender expression. I was talking, ew, that's disgusting with that disgusting profile. I was talking about gender as a whole.
I got a warning for that guess, so we're just going to move on.
I get so. I'm gonna remove the Adolf guy because yeah.
That guy was something.
They're honestly leaving me way too many opportunities to make fun of British people, but I've been.
This is what I'm saying. Instant loss. Nigga.
We love the TikTok shop.
That's crazy that this guy was waiting for like that long just to.
Right?
That's so crazy, bro.
Of course, the Brit guy loves that guy.
Kind of sound like he visited the pub or something. Like, does it sound like he's all there?
He was in request for like 20 minutes just to come up here and like have fun.
Hello, guest. Can we get your age and pronouns, please?
Hey, Reflex, your age and pronouns.
25, he, him.
Shoot, I need to say mine, don't I?
Sure.
20, he, him, his.
Cool. Gag, what do you want? What do you disagree with?
Um, I would say I disagree with the first one.
Okay, so why are you not vegan?
Um, I guess I like the idea because, like, it would make me feel good and, like, maybe feel a little superior in a way. Um, but I can't really resist the temptation to eat, like, really savory, juicy meat.
Okay, but you know that veganism is not just about meat eating, right? Because you can still eat meat as a vegan.
I mean, what types of meat are you talking about?
That's not really super relevant. I'm just saying you understand that veganism is more than just meat eating.
Sure. And that's also another thing, like clothes, right? Clothing. Um, I think vegan clothing tends to be more expensive, and I don't think it's very friendly for working class people.
Last I checked, a lot of animal clothing, like actual wool and silk and leather, like leather jackets, they're not cheap. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's like some of the cheapest clothes are made out of like cotton.
Well, I'm talking about, like, you know, what's it called? Those stores that sell cheap clothes, um, like fast fashion stores. Um, those are cheap, obviously. They're going to be cheaper than like a vegan store that's, that sells exclusively vegan clothing. Um, so, like H&M and Zara. I guess Zara's kind of expensive. Um, Even Walmart, for example. Um, that's cheaper than like going to a vegan place.
You don't have to go to like a vegan, like a dedicated vegan clothing store to shop, you know, or to, not wear clothing that exploits or harms animals. But
Yeah. I also think it's harder to find vegan stuff, even if you wanted to find like cheap vegan clothes.
I
Like you
can
have
find
to.
some at Goodwill. Like secondhand is usually where I try to shop first because I don't like contributing to fast fashion anyway. So like we honestly have so much clothes in rotation through secondhand stores we don't have to produce anymore for a while. So if you really are concerned about like the exploitation of humans and like other like just issues with like the fast fashion industry, buy secondhand. It's totally a non-issue.
Okay. Um, I don't really buy fast fashion or what's that's called. You said Goodwill.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
secondhand store
yeah, I don't
essentially.
really do that either. I just sort of buy from other stores you probably don't know. Um, but I don't really do vegan because I feel like they're not as comfortable. And I've tried on a vegan jacket and it didn't feel super comfortable. And um, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't look as nice either as like the real thing, like the real leather. Um, so it kind of looked fake, honestly. Um,
Well, I mean, it's just I don't think that looking good in leather is worth putting like a cow through a slaughter chamber and bolting them through the head and then pulling their guts out and pulling off their skin.
I mean,
Like
like,
looking like you can look good in many types of clothes. You don't have to put animals in slaughter chambers to look good.
well, like, what if that is something that I don't like mind, happening if it's like the trade off is that I get to buy nice clothes?
I don't think like the pleasure of like shopping is really justified to put someone in a slaughter chamber. You would have to actually give me a better justification than I just like it.
Yeah, well, like, I don't view animals in the same moral class as human beings. Um, and so that's why I'm able to justify the slaughter of animals that are not human beings, because I like when they are made into clothes because they look good on me and they taste good to eat.
Okay, so if we found out that a type of human actually tasted better than these animals and make even better leather than cows, is it okay to slaughter them?
Like,
If they're
yeah.
if they're not part of the human species, but you just said they're part of the human species, right? Still.
Okay, so it's not really about the quality of the leather or the taste then.
Well, I'm willing to make an exception for the human being because like they might taste better and like make better clothing, like make for better clothing, but if it's like a human being, then I'm willing to like make that trade-off because they're part of my species.
Okay, so species is why it's okay to abuse others but not humans.
Yeah, it's just like species membership.
Is there a specific trait that comes to mind when you're distinguishing like humans from other animals? Because we have the same nociceptors, we have emotions, we both have capacity of suffering, we both have capacity of attachment to like families. So is there a specific trait that stands out to you that justifies it, or are you just grasping at the large arbitrary notion of like species?
I think I could definitely find like a specific trait, but even like without finding one, it's just the mere fact that um, it's the mere fact that I'm human being and they're not, and anyone who isn't me or anything that isn't me, I don't care about. Um, so yeah,
I think that being a member of that particular class is sufficient justification to um, not consider them as I guess moral, not to have or offer them moral consideration. Like, why do you think that just them being excluded from being members of that class justifies that?
yeah, because it maximizes my well-being and my happiness. It also maximizes my family's well-being and happiness when we indulge in the clothing and the meat eating and
Sure.
animal products.
So insofar as there is a member that is excluded from a class and not offering them moral consideration enhances your sensory pleasures, then it's justified to harm them.
As long as they're not part of the same species, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like being a part of a species is just being a member of a particular class.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, wouldn't you consider that being just like an arbitrary line? Like, why stop at like being members of the species? Why not stop at like being members of my same race or being members of my same gender? Like, what if I were to say, look, insofar as somebody is not part of my same gender class or part of my same racial class, and bringing them harm enhances my sensory pleasures, then I'm justified in harming them.
Can you still hear me?
Yep.
We can't hear you when you're off the app.
How about now?
You know, we could.
When we can see you and you can see us, that's when we can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I draw the line at species membership because if I were to extend that line, then I would have to. It would just get too far. Like it could go to race or like gender or ethnicity. That's where it would be bad, I think. Um, I would not be protecting everyone in my species if I just said if I extended the line to like race or gender or like ethnicity or whatever.
Yeah, but my critique is stopping or drawing the line at species seems arbitrary, right?
Well, it
There's
is,
no
yeah. I mean, it is arbitrary, and it's
great.
fine to be arbitrary.
So then, in your view, if somebody had the position that, insofar as there's a member who's not part of my gender or race, and bringing them harm enhances my sensory pleasures, then I'm justified in harming them. Under your view, that would be permissible
No,
because
'cause I already
arbitrary.
said that. Well, I already said that for me personally, it's about species membership, so the line can't be extended further than that. Now,
Sure,
if someone else,
for you though,
yeah, I
that
mean, if someone else wanted to extend that line, that's on them. I mean, I believe morality is subjective, so I couldn't care less.
so
But
just because this is another thing, like even though morality may be subjective, right? You don't think that we should aim to have some type of like moral discourse such that we're both kind of trying to achieve a better a better moral position?
well, what you think is moral might be different from me. So the whole idea that like our moral foundations and laws that come from that are intersubjective, meaning they stem from democratic decision making. So if we as a society democratically agree that it's okay morally to eat meat, then that's just how we've operated for centuries, for millennia since since civilization began. So
Yeah, but that's
like
I think we're confusing like kind of like these moral permissibilities with legal permissibilities, right? Because I'm sure you would take it that if everyone in a society agrees that it's okay to like torture babies for fun, and it, you wouldn't say, well, I guess it's permissible now, so I'm okay with it.
no, because like I said before, it's a democratic process, right? So like even if the democratic majority says it's okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's okay. Um, like intersubjectively, like society, like maybe 80% of society says yes. I'm part of the 20% that says no, which means I will do my best to try to ensure that my own moral values compete and win over the other 80%. That's how democracy works
Yeah, I know, but
in
like
America.
in doing that, right? In looking at that, even though you would say that morality is subjective or intersubjective, you would still aim to fight for having other people view morality or have a better moral position, right? Presumably, like the position that harming babies for fun isn't a good thing.
Yeah, like I said before, what you're really trying to say is I would do my best to try to have society reorient their moral code my way. Not necessarily the better way, but my way, because I think my way is the better way. So everyone else wants their moral code to win over the other. That's why public morality is a constant battle, it's a constant conflict. And that's how we see, conflicts and wars unfold. It's all about cultural, moral ideas at the end of the day. People trying to
Sure. And I
win.
think,
So
yeah, but I think we're trying to win not on the merits of like, let's say, a force or I don't know, meritocracy or something, right? We're trying to win by giving like good reasons, right, for us to rationally hold a position and kind of give arguments for it, right? And so if you're holding to a position where you think, look, I'm fine with harming other sentient beings insofar as they don't belong to my class, and you're giving a critique saying that, like, look, well, I mean, that line seems very arbitrary, and the entailments of that, if we take it to its logical conclusion, could be very problematic, right? Because it could lead to things like, racism or eugenics or something like that. A response like, well, morality is subjective, so I really don't care, isn't sufficient to kind of like convince other people to take your position.
right, I'm not trying to convince people by saying mine is objectively better. Like my position is not objectively better. Like for example, slavery and like G-side are not objectively bad.
Wait, so like if you don't think that it's better, why hold to a position that's not good? Like why Wouldn't you want to hold to a position that is better?
Well, what I think is better is not going to be
He
the
said,
same as what you think is better. So, like, obviously, I'm going to think my position is better. I'm
Wait, are
going
we
to do
just going to
whatever I
glaze over that
can.
statement?
I'm sorry. Did he say G-side is not necessarily bad in his morality?
And slavery. Let's not forget. He also said and slavery.
Slavery?
And the fact that we just as a panel all glossed over that, glazed over that, and continued the conversation.
Oh
like
no,
that
I did not glaze over that. That's
no,
what
no,
I'm
no,
putting
not
my
you,
camera
not you, not
on.
you, not 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 you. I just mean the rest of the panel just glazed over that. Like what?
I didn't really listen to him say that, so I'm sorry.
Jim, stay with me.
So can we have him explain why he, I'm assuming they're front of why he thinks slavery and G side, like his thoughts on that? Like that's a little bit wild
and extreme. Please explain.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can explain. So I don't believe in objective morality. I don't believe in like a higher being or any, even a secular standard of morality. I think that morality is constantly evolving. And like I said before, it's intersubjective. It's very malleable. What we believed to be good in 1800s is different than today. I think what happened in 1800s, like slavery, is bad personally, but the people back then didn't think that. Now, both of us, obviously, me and a Confederate soldier in the 1800s, are going to disagree on this. None of us can actually objectively prove the other person wrong. Like, what source can we draw from to say that I'm objectively correct and they're not, right?
Like nobody's making an argument that we have to like get to conclusions objectively, right? I even said that even if we were to take some anti-realist position, right, and we think that morality is subjective, we aim to try to come to moral conclusions within moral discourse through reasoning, right? Through kind of like thinking through things and
sure
arguments, right? So, but if you know, I don't think that we could lean on the fact that look, I mean, you know, it's subjective and this is my preference, so therefore I'm absolved for having to give some type of argument that supports my position.
Yeah, everyone reasons differently, and someone can reason themselves into a completely different interpretation than someone else. Like, I don't think reasoning is something that like leads people to objective conclusions. I think everyone is going to use reason, and they're going to arrive at different opinions. Reasoning is just a cognitive mechanism to like form thoughts and opinions. It's not necessarily something that leads people to objectively the same conclusions.
Yeah, but wait, I don't understand why you keep on kind of like embedding this notion of objectivity when I'm agreeing with you that when we talk about values or when we talk about, you know, things like morality and aesthetics, right? I hold the position that this is going to be something that's going to be subjective, right? But even within a notion of subjectivity, you could have argumentation and discussions in terms of, you know, why you hold a particular position or not, right? I mean, like, look, you could think that, like, you know, the best movie ever made was Titanic, and I could think that it's Star Wars. And even though that's subjective, we could both have an argument in terms of why we hold that position and discuss it, right? I'm not saying that like one of them is objectively the best, but we could have argumentation to try to dissuade the other person.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you say. I don't think this is a point of contention at all. I think you're just, okay. I think you're kind of describing basically what I said. Like when we talk, it's a deliberation. It's kind of like a Socratic seminar of sorts. We're just discussing debating our opinions. Like none of us can objectively prove the other person wrong. But we can try to convince each other of the merits of our opinions. And that's what I mean by like slavery and G-side. I would hope that I can convince someone that slavery and G-side are wrong, but I can't really like point to something objective and be like, look, you have to agree with me now because I have this objective source. You cannot disagree. I mean, I wish we had that, but unfortunately we don't.
Well, I mean, do you think that we have at least something that we could point to as a standard, even though it may not be objective?
What standard?
Well, do you think that like perhaps something that increases harm, we could both agree that we could analyze whether harm is something that's detrimental or beneficial, and kind of figure out whether actions.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. We
but
could
I
have some.
mean, here's the issue with that. Like, I really like the utilitarian argument too, but like, then the other side could be like, well, it's harmful to us, right? Like, you're maximizing, minimizing pain, maximizing well-being, great. But like, a slave owner could be like, actually, it is maximizing harm for us if you take away slavery because we lose profit incentive, or we lose profit, like we lose our slaves. And obviously, the slave can say, well, you're maximizing harm for me. You're not maximizing my well-being. So again, like you can both sides can make similar arguments about well-being or like harm. They're not objectively measurable. Like each side can claim a right, or each side can make a claim to being harmed or benefited in some way, in their own right. So again, there's no way to objectively say you're being more harmed than this person or you're being benefited more than this person. It really depends on the standard, like moral standard of society. If a society thinks that enslaving people is more harmful than being enslaved. Now, in today's age in America, we think it's more harmful to be enslaved than to own slaves. But back then, they thought that owning slaves was less harmful than being enslaved. So we've changed and we've evolved. But again, there's no objective way to say, like actual objective way to say,
I mean, that's a really good point, right? What do you think that the moral evolution is due to?
I think it has to do with changing cultures and societies, politics, constantly evolving battles over power and control of society. I think, back then, the people who won and the people who dominated and prevailed over our country were racist white men. Today, we still have those people in power, but it kind of looks a little different, and it kind of looks more mute. But we have a bit more diversity today in government and politics. But I think it just changes depending on like who wins, like who actually fights for power and wins power in this country and around the world. And that's how moral standards and that's how laws eventually change.
Yeah, but I mean, like in your view, it just sounds as if though you're saying we understand what morality is insofar as like might makes right, right? So whoever is the strongest and kind of prevails, they set what morality is, and so therefore, that's what morality should be.
I'm not saying that's what it should be. I'm saying that's just how it is. Like that's just how it is in practice. Like that's how morality evolves and it cements in society. It doesn't mean that I agree with the morality that prevails in society. It means that I'm just looking at how it evolves, and whether or not I agree with how it evolves or what prevails in society. That's just how morality like objectively happens and emerges in society. I might disagree with the dominant morality of the time, and if I do, then I'm going to fight my hardest to try to make sure my morality wins and takes over. Like I said, I look at it in a very anarchical way, or kind of like basically as an anarchy, basically. We all compete, we all fight, we all fight over whose morality wins. So that's just how I view it.
So do you think that ultimately, in order to kind of enact a particular moral structure, we could only achieve that through some type of force?
I do, yeah. I mean, you look at the civil rights movement, like people, like black people in America didn't get the right to vote by just sitting quietly in their homes or like even just like peaceful protests. You had people like clashing with police officers. You had people like going to Congress and like literally sitting in front of the door and chanting. And so yeah, I do think civil disobedience isn't actually effective. I think you really need to clash with the powers that be if you really want to get what you want. It depends on the country, but I
Sure,
don't
but
like violence, but
does that clash need to be violent?
I think it depends on the context. Like, I really do. I think sometimes it's justified for sure. I think like, you know, for example, I think if you think about what is it called, Stonewall?
Yeah.
People didn't like just sit on the streets and sing Kumbaya. I mean, they were throwing stuff at buildings, at least like that brick. They were clashing with police officers. I think that's actually what gets politicians' attention the most, is when there's like a stir happening in society.
Do you think that the only way that vegans are gonna at least try to convince the majority of people to care about other sentient beings is going to be through, tea activities or kind of like,
I don't know about tea activities, but I do know the vast majority of activism I've seen for vegans is actually has been pretty visible and like, I wouldn't say violent, but very physical displays of activism. So not just like sitting on the streets or like protesting with a picket sign, but actually going to public places and like causing a sort of provocation or like a display of some sort. So I do think it has been effective. I mean, people now know about all these activist groups and like what they stand for, as opposed to they just stood on the street and just held signs. So I do think if you're vegan and you do want attention, you want to bring awareness to your activism, you actually should be aggressive with your activism.
So let's take that scenario, right? Let's say all the vegans unite and they go out there and incite violence and action such that it convinces legislation to pass laws and enact it's illegal to harm animals. Is your morality now going to be like, oh well, I guess being part of my species isn't the line, and now I'll take consideration to animals?
So, two things. I would disagree initially. My morality could definitely evolve and change if I end up getting used to it or getting acquainted with not eating meat or not, wearing vegan clothing more frequently. So like, I could see myself disagreeing, obviously, at first. And if that did happen in practice, obviously millions of Americans would also disagree. And millions of Americans would do what they can to like fight against it and try to take back control, if you will, and like restore their sense of morality over veganism. I would probably disagree initially. It could, I could get used to it, maybe, and try to adopt it in my life, because just as a matter of like necessity, because now it's the law, right? It doesn't mean I would initially like agree with it morally, because like I don't, that's not really me. But again, there's nothing stopping non-vegan people from doing activism in the same way that vegan people do. Doing activism, aggressive activism, change the government and the policies and the laws. So it's all just really a one big constant fight over ideas and values and opinions. So
I mean, I don't know where else to take it from here. I mean, it seems ridiculous that the way that I view the world and what I understand, kind of how I'm reasoning my way through a moral system is going to be changed or affected by law or by like something that other people are doing, right? Because it just seems that at that point it's a combination of like, you know, population consensus and you know, whoever is like strongest enough to.
I mean, that's morality. That's how morality is shaped and entrenched in societies. You're not going to have any power to your morality if you don't fight for it. You have to fight for it, and you have to do whatever you can to like speak truth to power and get
Sure,
the
but
people in power to listen.
I don't think that fighting for it necessarily means violence, right? You could fight for it through discourse. You could fight through it through you know, different types of activism.
I'm just saying I think sometimes it's justified. It depends on what's being fought for. Like if it's like civil rights, I do believe some form of aggression is warranted. That's just my opinion. You might not agree. You might think just peaceful, civil disobedience is enough.
Right.
So.
Anybody else wants to jump in? I don't want to monopolize the convo.
Yeah, so why aren't you vegan? Did you hear me? Why aren't you vegan?
Are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said before, it is inconvenient for me in my lifestyle. It's inconvenient to my taste buds and my sense of fashion. And I wouldn't say it's inconvenient for my wallet, because I could realistically afford it. But yeah, like I operate on a very kind of like libertarian sort of ethic here, where I just choose the lifestyle that I want and I orient my preferences around that lifestyle, and that's how I make my choices.
Yeah, I get that, but you're not really justifying it for me because you just base it on like an arbitrary like reason, like species. You haven't really given me an actual need for any of these products, and convenience. Like, does it inconvenience you to not buy a ticket to like a zoo or an aquarium or a circus or a horse riding expedition? Does that inconvenience you to avoid that purchase?
I mean, if I was interested in those things, yes, it would inconvenience me because those would be my hobbies.
It wouldn't, like, not choosing to buy something, just avoiding it and choosing to go watch a movie or do something else instead is not an inconvenience. You just choose to do something else instead. It's not taking anything from you to just avoid purchasing those like entertainment sources. There's so many other things to do that don't require exploiting animals for entertainment.
Sure, but if those were truly my hobbies, right? And that's the sort of stuff that I do all the time and I really enjoy. If I suddenly retracted from that and made that no longer part of my life, then it would be an inconvenience because I would be stripping something that is my passion, my hobby out of my life. And I have to change my routine. I have to change my hobbies, my passions. I have to look elsewhere. So that is an inconvenience on the face of it.
Okay, yeah. What if someone's hobby was like kidnapping kids? Should they inconvenience themselves with like avoiding kidnapping kids, or should they find something else to do for entertainment?
I think they should probably find something else to do if it's kidnapping children.
Okay, and why?
Because they are depriving a person of their autonomy and their well-being, and they're violating their consent.
Yeah, and you're
That's
doing
just
the
a
same thing to
contradiction.
animals.
I did say that I make exceptions for non-human animals, though.
But they were totally arbitrary. You admitted that.
I admitted it's arbitrary, correct. Everything is arbitrary.
So you haven't justified anything then. You just said, she asked you for a justification and you said convenience, right? So if you were consistent, then the person who's kidnapping children would also be justified because of convenience. If there's some other reason that justifies it,
well, no, because when I said convenience, it was already building on the standard that I initially set, which was that it has to be a non-human, entity, a non-human being, basically, for it to be justified. So in this case, if the little girl is being kidnapped against her will, obviously, violating her consent, she's a human being. She's not an animal or a non-human animal. So it would violate that standard that I set.
Okay,
But
when
kidnapping, or
someone
if you want
asks
to
you
call
to
it, if you want to
justify an
call it
action and you
kidnapping,
go, when someone asks you to justify an action and you go, my justification is, P1, um, I'm justified in doing something not to be inconvenienced. P2, going vegan would be inconvenient. Conclusion, right? I'm justified in not going vegan because it's going to be inconvenient, right? If that's your reasoning, then you would also have to say the person who's kidnapping kids would also be inconvenient, stopping that. Therefore, they'd also be justified in kidnapping kids. So, which it either is or isn't the case that you're justified in doing an action based off convenience. It can't be both. If it's both, that's just P and not P. That's a contradiction.
yeah, my standard isn't just convenience. I already said before, when I initially spoke, I said the main standard is species membership, and we can add convenience on there as well. But when it comes to a situation like kidnapping kids, it violates, like, sure, it might be convenient for them, but it violates that other standard of like them being part of the same species. So like it wouldn't be permissible.
So just to be clear, when she asked you to justify it, convenience didn't matter, right? Because it's species membership, it's not convenience.
The overriding principle, like I initially said before, is species membership.
Calcifer, did you want to
Yeah.
say something?
Yes, but sorry. I get that's your stance. However, earlier you did say that you make exceptions. So even if you make even just one exception, then all that you said earlier goes right out the window.
When I said I make exceptions, I meant that my overriding principle is that it has to be part of the same species. So when I said exception, I mean everyone else, like anything and everything that's not part of the same species, would not be like part of my moral consideration. I guess that's what I meant.
Earlier you did say that you would make exceptions for other animals.
I don't think I said that.
You did.
Okay, so what if
No,
someone's
but,
hobby was like burning a bag of puppies alive because they like to hear the screams? Should they stop doing that because it's inconvenient?
If that is something that's convenient to them, personally, I would probably caution them against that because that could definitely cause harm to other people watching, and cause probably some
It's not
trauma
going
to
to cause
children.
harm to the fucking puppies?
Yeah,
it's not going to cause harm to the fucking puppies?
But
you don't give
there
a fuck
are,
about the experience
let
of
me
the puppies?
finish.
Bro, no.
There are
no,
countries.
No, you're considering humans, not the fucking puppies being burned alive. Like, dude, are you okay?
There's countries that eat dogs.
Don't stop. That's xenophobic as fuck. I know that happens, but we're talking about in this scenario, you're more concerned about it affecting humans psychologically, not the fucking puppies being burned alive.
Yeah.
Well, if they're
so
going to eat them, then what's wrong?
If no one else found out, right? They could just burn puppies alive for their own pleasure, and that'll be totally fine on your view, right?
I'd say if it's not harming other human beings, then yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So someone can burn an infinite amount of puppies, just infinite, like cause infinite amount of suffering.
If you can find a way to do that without like causing harm or maximizing harm to human beings on the whole, on aggregate, then sure, go ahead.
I think what you're saying right now is actually maximizing harm to like the other people listening to this conversation.
Yeah. What if you?
Kind of proven it, right? You've kind of proven it.
Hang on, 1 second. I have a hypothetical. What if, like even some of the dogs in that burning building, or that being burned, are pets, someone's pets? You would still be causing harm in that situation.
I don't believe in I don't give moral consideration to pets either, and that includes dogs and cats.
No. What my point is, you said you only care about you don't even care about human opinions and all that. I get that.
Yes.
However, you did say that you're trying to minimize harm to human beings.
Yes.
If you were to set fire and burn people's pets, you would be causing harm to said humans.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, if we can demonstrate that it causes more harm than good and benefit to human beings, then that's probably something we should be against. Because
Okay.
again, I put species membership over like other species.
Are you willing to engage in hypotheticals?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let's just say we found out tomorrow we found a population of like Ethiopians, and then we found out after like DNA scanning that they weren't human. Can I infinitely torture like Ethiopian children?
If you can find a way to do that without maximizing the harm of other like the human race in general, then yes, you can definitely torture and put them on fire.
What the fuck? You're
Well, this person did say earlier that
harm.
G and slavery was. Never mind.
You're causing harm to humans. That literally contradicts what you said earlier. The fuck?
No, he said if he found out they weren't actually human beings. That was a hypothetical.
Tomorrow that like your adopted little brother is not a human, I could like you could torture your adopted little brother. Like it's like some you know species that looks just like human, and we just found.
Yes,
Jim.
I think you should and you would, you could, because they're not part of the human race. They're not part of the same species as us. I don't see why.
What?
Jim, when you watch like Superman and you see like when you watch the movie Superman and you see like the Kryptonians getting like exploited and abused, or like the aliens just getting like tortured, does that like make you feel bad, or are you like, oh, they're not human, so it's totally fine that they can just do whatever they want to them?
I might feel bad like on an empathetic level, but I wouldn't like ultimately I wouldn't care that much. So
you need therapy, dude. Like severe therapy.
Like I would if I saw like a whole group of chickens like being slaughtered, like and they were just crying and like whining, I might feel a little bad, but like it would probably go away knowing that it could feed like millions of people. So
this guest is a psychopath. I'm just saying it. I'm calling it. Like yeah, you need help.
Just to be clear, they don't have to eat the chicken, so I don't even know what that. But anyways, do you think that view is like a tenable view to have? Do you think most people would agree with that view, or would you say that's like what you just said would be like absurd?
I think if you want to be logically consistent, then you would agree with my view.
Well, you don't know anyone else's view, so I don't know how you could say that. But do you think the majority of people would be like, it's totally okay to genocide Kryptonians?
I don't go based off ad populum fallacy. I don't really care.
I'm not
You did say earlier that G-side and slavery was not necessarily bad, so why are you backtracking now?
Yeah, like I said before, like I might personally disagree with something in a society where everyone else thinks it's good. And so I'll do whatever I can to make sure my morality goes like
And I
wins over
quote,
theirs.
slavery and G-side is not necessarily bad. What? You're not
Correct.
addressing that statement.
This is why me as a woman and every other woman on the face of planet chooses to stay.
When I say not necessarily, I mean like objectively.
Well, okay, so why should we even value what you value? Why should anyone value species membership? Why is that a morally relevant trait in your eyes?
I am not trying to convince you to share the same moral ethic as me. But
so you
if you do want
crazy
to,
shit, but it's actually like.
No, I'm just saying if you're interested and you want to share my moral ethic, you are slightly interested. If you are, I would just tell you. It depends on what you. It depends on what you value.
I don't think anyone ever is, but
okay. But I'm telling you.
I'm asking why should anyone value that?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not telling you you should.
if you feel that your moral position is superior and more logical, right? You mentioned this a few minutes ago.
I didn't say that.
Well, look, you said a few minutes ago that if you want to adopt a consistent moral framework, then we should adopt your moral framework. Right? You said
No. When I said that, I meant I'm logically consistent in my framework, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean it's superior to yours, or it doesn't mean that I think it's better. Like, if you want to adopt it, then you can. I don't really care.
Okay, wait, hold on. So if someone,
last question, I'll shut up.
It's morally wrong. Okay, yeah, you're fine.
Sorry. Last question. Look, wouldn't you want to hold to a moral framework that you would want other people to also hold to?
No, because like I said, my ethic is libertarian in nature. It's anarchic in nature, which means that I believe everyone's moral ethics should coexist.
Okay, well, so if someone were, if we found out tomorrow that someone were like genociding a bunch of humans, like all willy-nilly, just walking around and unaliving people, that would be morally wrong on your view because they're part of the human membership, right? Species membership.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you convince that person to not do that?
Like I said before, I would...
Would you say that's totally fine for that person to do that?
Yeah, like I said before, I would use political tools. I'd use protesting. I'd use, politics, government. I'd use debate and intellectual discourse. I do.
Why should anybody listen to you?
Well, they should listen to me.
You go out and a sign. You go out with a sign, and your sign says harming species membership is wrong, and you're protesting.
Yeah.
Why does that matter to anyone? Why would that even matter?
It matters to them if they want to see the same change that I want to see in this society. If they don't see the same way that I see, then I could possibly convince them based on the merits of my argument. So I'm not I wouldn't try to convince everybody, but at least enough people where I could have at least enough political power to change the system. So.
Yeah, but I thought you said a minute ago that you wouldn't want to convince other people. Like, that's not your aim.
Well, if I had a belief system and if I wanted it to be like the government's morality or the government's laws, then I would try to convince people. But I don't have a need. I'm not compelled to convince you of my ethic.
All right, so if someone's harming you, do you go, please stop harming me, I'm part of a species membership? Or do you go, please stop harming me, I'm getting hurt or I'm in pain?
I'd say both.
Okay, so so an alien species comes down to Earth and starts torturing people and being oh, they're part of a species membership, please don't harm them. Do you think that'd be convincing, or do you think it'd be more convincing to be well, they can suffer, they can feel pain, right?
Yeah.
And the species membership isn't relevantly different to you in the same way that I wouldn't want to harm you because you could also feel pain and can suffer.
Well, I wouldn't expect the alien to understand or follow the same species membership sort of ethic because they're not the same part of the same species as me. So I guess the solution, like I said before, is to fight against the aliens until you win over them. That's the whole idea of an anarchic world or society where you're competing against other people and beings to win power.
Okay. Why is species membership any morally relevantly different to different race or different sex?
Because you can be a different race and sex and be part of the same human species.
Well, they could say that. They can say that you can be. They could say that about the race too, right? They could be you could be part of the same race but be a different sex, and they abuse women, right? Why are those two things morally relevant? You're just picking a thing, and you're saying this is what gives you moral relevance. So it seems like your view is just consistent with that of people who are racist or sexist or just discriminate based off of traits that traits that they themselves just find morally relevant.
Yeah, I said before that it is arbitrary and subjective. For me, I place that line arbitrarily, subjectively at species membership because when you think about different races and sexes, we're still all part of the same human species, even if you have different race or gender.
Yeah,
And
I
for
know
me,
that, but I'm
I
just saying that someone who's racist and sexist can use the same exact reasoning that you're using right now
yeah,
to come to the conclusion that we should oppress women or black people or other races, right?
right, and that would violate my ethic because you have to value people, everyone, equally in the human species. So
Okay.
yeah,
Isn't one of them the core of like this anarcho-libertarianism, the non-aggression principle?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said, isn't kind of like one of the core beliefs or tenets of anarcho-libertarianism this notion of like the non-aggression principle?
I'm not familiar with that. I don't really follow like a strict formal theory. I just sort of follow what my intuition tells me.
So then how are you saying that you're leaning towards anarcho-libertarianism?
Well, I didn't say that specifically. I said I take a more libertarian ethic. I don't follow like a specific philosophy that's called anarcho-libertarianism.
Okay. It sounded like 5 minutes ago when he was asking you about your view, you were saying something to the effect of like you hold to anarcho-libertarianism.
I didn't say that. No, I said we exist in an anarchic world, and my ethic is libertarian. I didn't say I subscribe to anarcho-libertarianism. I'm not really sure what that is.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's similar to like anarcho-capitalism, which is just kind of
I'm a
like this,
capitalist too.
yeah, it's kind of like this philosophical view that advocates for the abolition of like state and free market capitalism, unregulated free market capitalism type of stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be regulated, but
yeah, but I mean, like going back to your point that you said before, you had mentioned something to the effect of like, look, it's you would aim to live in a society where like all moral frameworks could coexist.
mhm. Yes.
Okay. So if like you're fine living in a world where somebody's moral framework is that of like raping and unaliving little children, and they see that as fine, you're okay living in that world.
We already exist in a country where people have those belief systems. Now, I personally disagree with that. But the fun part about living in America is that we live in a democracy where you have freedom to believe whatever you want to believe. You can say these things too publicly. But the difference is that you can't like translate that into policy or government
I don't
policies
know
that
why you
like
keep
harm
on.
people.
Yeah, I don't know why we keep on kind of falling back to this like um, legalistic approach, right? When we're talking
Well,
about
that's the highest manifestation of morality in civilization.
no, it's not.
Yes, that's how else are you supposed to practice? Like, what is the most powerful way to enforce morality, in your opinion, in the world?
Through discourse and
You
through
you think you think that merely talking with someone about your morality is more powerful and impactful than like putting it into laws?
no. Through discourse is how we're able to communicate where our moral framework is, and we're able to have a dialogue about it and see which one has more merit. By the way, which we live our lives is the best way that we could do that. I think that's totally divorced from what law says, right? Because we could be living
Well,
in
I'm not denying that. What I'm
okay,
saying is
great.
that
So
I
then it's as
agree
if
that
laws and
okay,
morality are divorced.
we're talking about what is the most impactful, like what the most impactful manifestation of morality is. You're saying that the most impactful, powerful manifestation is through words and speech exchange. What
And
I'm
the way
saying
and
is
the
the
way we
most
live our
powerful
lives.
translation, the most
And the way we
powerful
wait.
way we
I just
practice
want to correct. I just
morality.
want to correct you. I just want to correct you. I said that discourse is the way that we communicate, but the way that we live our lives is how we are able to make that impact. And I think that that's divorced of what laws say, right?
the way we live our lives morally is also subject to what the law says,
That's
right?
correct.
So it is like, for example, if I believe that that AB is immoral and I want to do AB, okay, I want to go to a hospital and get one. I can't legally get one in Alabama or Mississippi.
So hold on.
I
So
can't.
like,
I
it's
cannot
not as if
practice my own morality because Alabama's
but you could
morality
move.
is
You could
legalized.
move. You could move
Yeah,
to a
but
different
that's
state.
not realistic for most women.
But what do you mean that's not realistic? What would be unrealistic about going to a different state where AB is allowable and doing it?
Most doctors and scientists and women attest that it's unrealistic to expect women to move to get healthcare,
Yeah,
reproductive healthcare.
you're repeating the claim. I'm saying what about that is unrealistic?
Yeah, I mean, in practical terms, you have to uproot your family and you have to take on considerable economic or financial expense
Wait,
just to get a medical procedure.
Why would I have to uproot my family if I'm
And
going
also, let me just be clear. A lot of states that do criminalize this procedure actually put you on a tracking system and a registry so that you don't actually leave the state borders like intending to get an AB. So if you actually do get that, they can actually track whether you did get that. So they'll find out anyway, depending where you live. I know a couple states have introduced that in the South.
And so you think that because this is law, therefore that intrinsically ties to what is morally good in those states?
That is what I said. Is that's the highest manifestation of morality, or that's the most
So
powerful
then-
manifestation.
So then by highest manifestation, do you mean that what is enacted in law as the highest manifestation is what should be done?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, so then what do you mean by highest manifestation?
When I say highest, I really just mean the most impactful or most powerful manifestation of morality, right? For example, like I said before,
Impactful in what way?
All he's saying is that the law is the best way to enforce morality.
no, I'm just saying it's the most
Is that what
powerful
you're
way, the most powerful way to enforce it. Because like I said before, my own private morality says I want to get an AB, it's moral to get one. If the state says it's illegal to get one and it will track you down and hunt you down if you get one in another state, I'm legally bound. Like I don't have any option because the law is saying the public morality of the law trumps my own private morality. Right? That's why I take on a libertarian ethic.
Got it.
Because
So to get back to the root of the question that I was asking, right? When we're talking about moral frameworks, you're saying insofar as the laws of the country allow for there to be individuals who are okay with raping and unaliving little kids, then because that's the highest manifestation, then you're okay to live in that world.
I'm not okay to live in that world because it violates the overriding principle of harming members of the same human species.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter though. You said specifically that you're fine living in a world or living, in a community or society that where all moral frameworks coexist.
Correct.
And
yes.
Yeah, great. So there could be moral frameworks that are antithetical to your moral framework, and for you, that's okay.
Yes, I'm comfortable living in a society where we can have different moral frameworks, even if they're like abhorrent to me, as long as they are not being translated into policies that harm other human beings or violate the overriding principle of
Yeah, that's fine. Like we could say it never goes into policy officially, but it's okay to go ahead and unalive and rape little kids. For you, that society is fine. You wouldn't advocate for change in that society.
I think if you are free to have that belief and even that desire in this country, but you are not free to enact that belief or desire.
I'm asking, would you be okay living with neighbors that have that moral framework and you wouldn't advocate to change?
I mean, look, if they have that moral framework in their mind and that's what they truly believe, I can't change it. Would I feel comfortable around them? Probably not. But I'm not like.
So you're okay with just like living with people who have that? You wouldn't advocate to change their minds or to stop their actions?
I would advocate for it, yes.
I would
Why?
advocate.
Wait. Why are you advocating for it? Like, you are fine living in a world where these
Because
antithetical moral frameworks can coexist. That's what you wanted. You
like
want
I
to live in
said
a you want to
before,
live in a
like I said
world you
before,
want to live in a world where there are neighbors who are, P3DOs and racists, and all these that
Mhm.
are antithetical to your view. For you, that society is fine.
So ideally, we live in a world where our neighbors aren't racist or P3DOs,
Wait, why
but
though?
we
It doesn't.
exist
Why though?
because that violates the initial overriding principle that I stated, which is harming members of our own
That's a
species.
contradiction. You can't
Okay.
say, look, you can't say, I have this particular moral framework. However, I'm okay living in a world where there are antithetical moral
Okay.
frameworks.
You need to
And in the same, and
understand.
in the
You need
same
to
time
understand the
say that,
nuance.
and in the same time say that you don't want to live in that world.
Okay.
You can't say that. That's contradictory.
You need to understand the nuance of what I'm trying to say. Okay. What I'm trying to say is, I am fine with people having the freedom to believe whatever they want to believe, however much I might disagree with it. But there's a difference between believing something and then practicing or enforcing that belief.
Yeah, look,
Right.
I'm agreeing with you. Like, we're taking this in a state between having just the belief of this and it not reaching a point where it's enacted in law, right? People could still go out and act upon these beliefs and
Mhm.
desires, even though it's not put into
Yeah.
law.
Yeah. Even if it's not put into law, whether or not it's a law, it's not really relevant here because it's still violating the overriding principle of
It
like
doesn't matter.
harming
It doesn't
memberships,
matter. Like,
people in the
look,
member.
your arbitrary overriding principle is irrelevant in this society
Well, it's
because you're
relevant to
okay.
me.
Look, you are okay living in a society with antithetical moral, arbitrary moral principles in yours. You're okay with that. So you're
Yes,
okay.
I'm fine with
Yeah. So you're fine.
competing. I'm
You're
fine with
fine with living in a
competing.
society where there are P3DOs and racists and people who own slaves, things like that, because even though it's antithetical to yours, you prefer a
Yes.
society where people could act upon different moral frameworks.
Again, I'm fine with people holding competing moral frameworks, okay? But what I
And acting
said
upon them.
was
And
that you
acting upon
can't.
them.
No. What I said was that you cannot act upon them if it would
Why?
violate it would violate the overriding principle that I
Well,
said
I don't
before.
care. That's your moral principle. That's not mine. Remember, morality is subjective.
Exactly.
Morality is subjective. So your moral principle does nothing to my moral principle.
And this is
My
where we
moral
get
principle,
into
in my moral principle,
Yes.
insofar as somebody is not part of my race or gender, it's okay to harm them, right?
Mhm.
And you're okay living in that society.
And this is where we get into the law conversation, right? So if
I don't
I
care.
say
I don't care about the law,
you gotta
right?
let me you
Look,
have to let me finish speaking. You have to let me finish speaking.
Yeah, but you're bringing up
Okay.
irrelevant points.
No. If I don't interrupt you when you talk, so you gotta let me finish my point, okay? So basically, if I feel very strongly about people holding a particular belief and then them acting upon it, even though it's not against the law, right? I'm going to do whatever I can. If I really feel passionate about it, I'm going to do whatever I can to do activism, to protest against it, because I want to do whatever I can to make sure my morality wins over theirs.
Why?
Right?
It's not. You mentioned many times that you're not interested in convincing other people about your morality.
No, I said it depends on how passionate I am about that idea or like that practice.
Look,
So, for example,
now passion is involved. Now you have to be passionate about it.
If you want to change the law, or like if you want to change the law in a country, then you should be passionate about changing it. Yes.
Look, we're living in a hypothetical world where law, like people could act exclusive of laws here, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And if
if
it's not,
you keep on bringing up laws as if the laws are somehow like what regulates, in this hypothetical, what regulates what people can and cannot do.
Sure. Like, are you saying if there's no law against people doing something I disagree with?
Yeah.
Like I said before, if there's no law against something I disagree with, then I will do whatever I can to protest, do activism to make sure that is made illegal.
Why?
If I feel really passionate about it, obviously. Like, for example, if like obviously it's not illegal.
You're contradicting
Okay,
yourself,
let me
brother.
finish.
You're contradicting.
Obviously, it's legal for people to smoke. Can I say the word W or M? That little green plant.
I would say get elevated.
Okay, to get elevated with the green plant. I personally, this is not my opinion, but if I were to say I disagree with people having access to that, I don't want it to be legal, and I disagree with people doing it on their own time, even if it's not illegal. If I really felt passionate about outlawing it so that no one would do it, right, or at least less people would do it, then I would do whatever I can to make sure I encode or enshrine that moral belief into the law, so that it's not only a belief, it's also enforceable through government, through the police, right, through the courts, the legal system. But I don't feel passionate about that. Like, I don't really care what people do, even if I'm morally against it, right? So it depends on what it is. Like, does it rise to the level of activism where I really want to put it in law? Like I said before, if it's civil rights, that is where you would get me to yeah, like I said before, if it's civil rights, that's something that I could see myself really rising to the level of activism and even maybe aggression to get change in the law, even if it's not legal in society.
You're again arbitrarily just picking law as if though this is law is what kind of dictates moral progression or something.
Well, I said it's the most powerful and impactful tool to enforce and create morality in a society. Like I said, there's no use to your morality if it's just an idea, right? If you want it to be enforced and shared, then you make it law.
I think Luke wanted to jump in.
Why is it wrong to harm a human?
I just have, as a human being, I'd say most of us have a natural, innate sense of empathy for our fellow beings, part of the same species. So,
yeah.
So it's wrong to harm a human because we have empathy for humans?
I guess that's one part of it. I mean, the other parts of it would be that, we...
Just to be clear, before we go to the other part, right, if it's wrong to harm a human because we have empathy for humans, and you said that you also have empathy for other animals when I asked you earlier,
yeah,
that would also mean it would be wrong to harm animals.
Well, I didn't
Is there
finish.
another reason?
I didn't finish outlining the criteria. You just used the first criteria I used. So let me finish.
So that criteria applies to both humans and animals. Is there another criteria?
No, I didn't finish listing out the criteria. So the other criteria would be just this innate feeling to protect our own kin as a group. So that's why you would probably innately protect your child against a bear if a bear was going to attack your child, because you want to protect your own kin and your own species first.
What if my cats are my kin?
If your cats are your kid,
kin, K-I-N.
When you say we have an
how can they be
feeling to
your?
protect
How
their
can they
own
be your?
kin. We have an innate feeling to protect your own kin. What if you don't have that innate feeling?
If you don't have that innate feeling, well, typically it would. We would typically institutionalize that person. So no, I don't think just because you have a disability or a mental illness or something, it excuses you from exonerates you, I guess, from harming people.
Wait, when you say institute, are you putting them in prison?
Well, that's what we
innate feeling?
No,
I didn't say that I didn't say that they harm somebody. I'm just saying they don't have the innate feeling that they have would even want to have kin or have kin. I don't understand where that's relevant.
If they're not practicing or doing any action, then I don't see what's wrong.
Okay, so if it's wrong because we have an innate feeling to protect our own kin, but let's say some of us don't have that innate feeling, then it's not wrong anymore? Or is it still wrong?
Well, I'm just describing to you why we feel that, why we protect our own kin. I'm not describing making a normative claim. I'm just telling you why human beings protect our own kin and why we prefer our own species, because we want to protect our own people, our own children, our own families.
I'm not preferring my own species right now.
Like, I mean, you would most likely save your mom over like your pet hamster.
Would I?
Why would I say
Would
my
I?
mom?
I mean, most people
Would
would.
I? You said
Most people,
yeah.
I would hope so.
Listen, I found
Go
out
for
that
it.
my mom isn't human, right? So why would I save
Yeah.
my own mom then? She's not a human.
Well, if she's not a human being and she's your mom, but you're a human being, I don't know how she would have reproduced you.
Yeah, let's just say a scientist edited the genome such that it's sufficient enough to where we can't call it a human being anymore. It can't reproduce anymore. Why
Yeah.
would I want to protect my own mom? She's no longer human.
Well, I think that makes things more complex now, right? Now that you guys are no longer the same species, because it now becomes an issue of wanting to protect your own family and your own kin and your loved ones versus like species membership as a criteria, right? Because you guys are no longer part of the same species.
But I know, but that's what I'm asking you. Why is it wrong? Is it not wrong anymore?
Well, it still would be wrong because, I mean, that's your family member, and most species also want to protect their family members.
But so it either is or isn't the case that it's wrong to harm someone because they're human. Well, you said it's wrong to harm somebody because the first criteria applies to both humans and animals, right? And the second criteria, right, can also apply to animals. So the second criteria, protecting, that also applies to animals, right? So it seems to be the case, based off the criteria you provide, that we should protect both humans and animals. Unless there's a separate criteria. But you haven't named that.
Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting hypothetical you gave, where, you know, your mom is a different species than you. I think you could still have the principle of like wanting to protect your family, even if you're gonna like, because the principle of the overriding principle of same species membership no longer applies now, right? Because you guys are different species.
That's clear. You haven't gave any justification because the justifications you gave apply to both humans and animals.
Yes, that was for like the example if they're the same species. I mean, like in this case, it's just different species.
Again,
okay, and I asked you, why is it wrong to harm the same species? And the justification you gave applies to both animals. So if I'm using your reasoning, I should come to the conclusion that we should also protect animals and we should be vegan.
Biologically speaking, we're just kind of hardwired to want to protect our own people, like what, you know, not just families, but like people who look like us, like beings who look like us.
We also no, hold on. We also have intense compassion for other animals. What are you talking about? You're excluding an entire relationship that humans have coexisted with other animals and shown care for animals, and you're totally just ignoring that. Everything that applies to other humans and our relationship to us also applies to other animals.
But that doesn't override.
Your whole logic is based on arbitrariness of just if they're similar to us or not, but they still have moral value. And I largely see even just the capacity to suffer have more moral weight than an arbitrary definition of they just have a different cluster of traits than me.
Yeah, and also we don't just care about the human beings. We don't just care about our species. We care, like Lydia said, we care about other species as well.
Let's just say we found out tomorrow that, you know, you did a DNA scan and you found out you weren't human. You were made in a lab and, you know, or something. Would you be totally fine with people torturing you, or would you try to convince them otherwise?
If I was not a human being and I was a different animal, I would not be fine with it, because everyone, like every species wants to protect their own species. So
yeah, but the person who's torturing you is using the same reasoning that you're using right now, right? They're like, well, we gotta protect our own species membership, and this new guy reflects is not human. And then you're like, well, fuck, you got a good point there. I'm not a human. Go ahead and torture me, right?
That's the point. Like every species tries to defend itself against other species. That's just how nature works. It's a state of nature. Like obviously, as someone of a different species, I would want to try to win over the other.
First of all, that's an appeal to nature, right? But where's the evidence of that?
I'm
Every
not
single
really.
species
I'm not
is
making.
constantly trying to fight against every other species, and that's why it's wrong to just kill every other. That's why it's okay to kill every other species. Who's
I'm not
saying that?
making. I'm not making a normative claim. I'm describing nature as it exists. So
Yeah, well, listen. If we found out tomorrow that well, actually, yeah, what you're saying is just like wrong, right? We're not like constantly trying to kill every other species on the planet. That's not what we're trying to
I
do.
didn't say that. I never said that.
So I don't understand your justification. It's okay to torture you because it's it's in our hardwire to want to like fucking get rid of other species.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at this in the perspective of someone who's not a human being, right? So if I'm like a bear, for example, and you are a human being and you want to torture me, obviously as a bear, I don't want you to torture me. I'm gonna have my own like perspective on things.
Okay.
I'm gonna want to protect my own
I'm going to
species
give
over
you
like
an
against
analogy,
you.
and I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me where the symmetry breaker is. Okay. I'm talking to a guy, and the guy is like, "Well, the only relevant trait that gives you moral consideration is being a guy, right? They're just changing the word species membership with a guy." And then I ask him, "Well, what if we found out tomorrow that you're a woman, right? Would you want to be harmed?" And they go, "No, I don't want to be harmed." But they're still giving justification for why it's okay to harm women. Do you think that's like a tenable position to have?
Are they part of the same species?
No, we're using the exact same argument and logic and reasoning that you're using. All we're doing is replacing the word species with gender. It's the only thing we're doing.
Okay, they're still
Why are
part
they
of the
wrong?
same species, though.
Yeah, but the
So
reasoning for why but the reasoning and justification for why we should give species moral consideration can also be applied to being of a man, being a different, a specific
I don't
race.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And if that's how you believe, then that's how you
That's not what I
believe.
believe. That's just logic, right? We can like formulate
I'm
this.
not
You're
saying that
basically saying
it's
that the
wrong.
reasoning. I'm using the same exact reasoning as racist and sexist people who oppress others. We're just changing the word species to gender and race.
Sure. I already said before, like if that's the boundary you set, you extend that boundary to like you narrow that boundary to gender and race, you can do that. I would disagree with you and I would try to maybe if I felt passionate enough, I would convince you.
They're using the same exact reasoning and justification you're using. I don't know why you'd even disagree with that.
Because
just because we use, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense, right? That's totally fine.
Can I ask a question? Why do you think we should? I'm assuming you think we should protect dogs.
Oh, he said he would burn dogs if yeah.
So I will respond to that other guy. We can use the same reasoning but come to different conclusions, okay? And that's totally fine.
Wait,
the other thing
guy.
I'll say,
Hang on. Gag.
it was Luke.
Gag. Other guy. Do you mean me?
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the other person. So that's the first thing I'll address. You can use the same reasoning, but to come to different conclusions. Okay. And also to the person who said, would I be okay with something about dogs?
I'm asking if you would, if you think we should protect dogs from harm.
Yeah. So if we can demonstrate that we can maximize the well-being and happiness of the human race, the human species specifically, by protecting dogs, then I'm all for it. But if we don't see that there's a net positive for the human race, like we can't demonstrate that somehow, then I don't think it would be a moral consideration for me.
Do you understand there is a negative effect of us harming these animals on humans? For example, a lot of humans who work in industries that you're currently supporting end up with PTSD and a lot of mental health issues because they're working in, slaughterhouses and other facilities which are just very damaging to them mentally. But also, it's part of the reason that world hunger is such a huge issue. We could feed a lot more people if we all shifted to plant-based diets, which is part of veganism. So how would you respond to that? Because obviously then the world going vegan would result in a net positive on for humans in many ways.
Yeah, I think that's a situation where you have to look at the numbers and also just look at.
But it would be a
Yeah, I
net
think look at the
positive.
numbers.
There is a net
Well,
positive regardless of the amount of people that would benefit. It would
yeah.
be a net positive for humans, which you just made the point is something you agree with.
Well, on what basis are you measuring the net
Well,
positive or net negative?
we know that people who work in slaughterhouses and work on farms are often, very often, struggle with PTSD and other mental health issues as a
Sure.
result of that. And we also know that we could feed millions, billions potentially of children who are currently dying from starvation if we all shifted to plant-based eating.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess you just kind of repeated what you said.
Yeah,
but
because you made the point that if there was a net positive to us not abusing
Yeah.
dogs, then you would agree with it. I'm giving you an example that, you know, also would result in a net positive. Veganism will result in a net positive. I'm not even mentioning the fact that, you know, humans would also the risk of sort of things like heart disease and certain cancers would also decrease massively, saving lives. So there would be a huge net positive if the entire world shifted towards veganism. So surely you would agree with that, because it would result in the very thing you just said you would like to see.
Yeah. The thing is, like, the way you're measuring it being net positive could look very different from how I'm measuring, right? So, like, the way I see it is, yes, it is bad. You can say that it is bad, that those people are being, you know, harmed in factories. They don't have great labor rights, bad working conditions. But you could also see the other side of it, where millions, billions of people are being fed or clothed through their labor. And also, it is pumping billions of dollars into economies, and that's making the world go round. So you're not seeing it from a capitalist perspective. I am. You're not seeing it from like a societal welfare perspective.
No, I am.
At least in terms of like capital accumulation, economic, you know, building economies, sustaining
It seems to
economies.
be, you seem to think that like jobs would just lower if we all shifted to plant-based eating. These people wouldn't be out of jobs. They wouldn't be out of like labor. They would still be, you know, getting paid in the same way they are now. They'd just be doing a different job, because obviously we still need to feed the same amount of people, right? We still need to produce the same amount of food and clothing. So the people who are currently working in these slaughterhouses wouldn't just not have a job. More jobs would open up in the plant industry, in other, like, you know, vegan industries that would exist in a vegan world.
Yeah, I mean, if you are saying that there could be a
I'm
net
saying that there
positive,
will be a net positive
if
for
you're
humans.
saying, well, that's a pretty bold claim. But if you're saying that there could be a net positive that is equal to or greater than the net positive we get from, or at least what I believe is the net positive we get from like them working in the factories right now, like the status quo. And you could say that it's equal to or greater than the net positive we get from their labor right now as it exists, then I would love to see like the empirical evidence behind that. And if you can demonstrate that meaningfully and convincingly, I could get behind your argument. I could support it.
Yeah,
I don't see
mean,
any. I haven't seen any empirical data or research on this.
have you researched that though?
No, I haven't.
Exactly. So that would be something that you should look into, since you're so concerned about the net
Do you
positive
have?
humans.
I mean, do you have a source where that says that if we were to replace all labor as it is today with like vegan workers or like vegan-based labor? I guess.
I mean, it's just common sense, dude. Like, come on.
Well, common sense is not the same as empirical research, right? Like,
No, but there are certain things we don't need research for, because obviously, if we shifted to a vegan world, right, we're living in a vegan world, obviously, we still need to produce the same amount of food, and we'd potentially be producing more, right? Well, not more, but like, we'd have jobs would open up in the plant industry, in the animal free material industry. Like, we still are going to be producing the same amount of clothes, the same amount of food, the same amount of all of these things that animals are currently part of. Okay, it's not like jobs are going to drop. They're just going to change. They're going to shift with the world, right? Like, we won't have less jobs because we're changing whether animals are used or not in that line of work. Like, do you understand that? Like, it's very basic common sense. Like, you don't need even research to show this. But yeah, I could find some for you and send it to you later potentially, or
Yeah, I mean, I would love to take your word for it. I really would. But
no,
when you
you
make
wouldn't, because then you just would.
well, no, I mean, if sure, like you would love for me to take your word for it, obviously, right? But that's not really how these things work. Like, obviously, if you make a claim and about how like you can replace a whole division of labor with, you just upend the whole like system of labor in this world and replacing it with like doing vegan based sort of labor. I think that's a pretty bold claim that a lot of economists would also like to investigate, but I haven't seen that type of research myself yet. And you know, if you have the sorts of sources that you've read, I'd love to see it. I mean, that sounds fascinating to me.
I mean, you could do the research yourself if you wanted. But like, I think that's something that you should be interested in researching, because obviously you want net positives.
I mean, I
for the
wasn't
human
interested.
race,
I
for
wasn't
the human
interested.
species.
Yeah,
No,
I
you
wasn't
weren't?
interested before, but now I am. Now that you mentioned it, like I
Yeah,
didn't know about this
so
before. But again, you mentioned that you had. I mean, you must have known this from some research you read, or it maybe just came out of your intuition or something. I don't know. But I guess I could Google it and try to find something, see what the competing arguments are.
yeah, obviously jobs would go down in terms of, like, there wouldn't be as many animal agriculture jobs, but they would just shift to plant agriculture or something else, you know?
I know, but when you're making like quantitative, sort of like quantitative or
Yeah, but
quantitative adjacent claims,
you totally disregarded the net positives that I've mentioned, and you want to focus down on this. You
well,
want to like focus down on
sure,
this one thing where you think there
yeah.
could be like a negative outcome. But
When I
I'm
said,
giving you like a
yeah.
huge amount of net positive.
When I said
For
net positive, I meant to like demonstrate it. So like if you're gonna tell me something, right? Like I'd at least want some empirical
okay,
backing or basis for it. So like if you say that we can upend the whole system of labor in this world and replace it with vegan-based labor, that's a pretty bold claim, and I'd need to see. I'd
yeah,
love it'd be more
again, you're
convincing if you
still
had an empirical evidence. Yeah.
yeah, but like that wasn't my net positive. My net positive wasn't about there will be the same amount of jobs. That's not really a net positive. That's just like gonna stay the same. My net positives were that it would reduce world hunger, where people wouldn't have to work in slaughterhouses and suffer with PTSD. There would be less people getting heart disease, which is currently the leading killer. And we know that that risk is massively reduced for those who follow a plant-based diet. So to think that, you know, the numbers are gonna like that the net positive would not be, I don't know, enough people. You're saying like the number of people that would experience positive outcomes from this would be like maybe not as high as you like, is ridiculous, because the leading cause of death is heart disease, and the reduce of that is massively risked. The risk of that is massively reduced for anyone following a plant-based diet, and the same can be said for many types of cancers and other chronic diseases.
Not only that, right, but environmentally. Would you say the same thing, no gag, about fossil fuels? Let's say we took your argument and steelmanned it. Like, let's say we stop all fossil fuels tomorrow, but some people lose their jobs, right? Would you be against stopping fossil fuels for the environment?
Climate scientists have already demonstrated that there is a net negative impact on society and human race and the planet when we allow fossil fuel companies to dump as much fossil fuels as they want. So
if someone were to tell you that, you know, animal ag is also one of the leading causes of climate change, what's your response?
do you mean like eating meat or wearing animal clothing?
Animal agriculture.
Yeah, supporting that industry, right? Yeah, animal ag is just like the leading cause of climate change, as I'm aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, even
Right,
if that
methane
were
is much more
true,
potent in the atmosphere than CO2. Just
yeah, I know. Even if that were true, right? We could accept that as being true, but we also have to demonstrate the net negative or net positives. So on like
yeah,
the
and I,
world
I
and the
already
human
gave you an
race.
analogy,
So
right? I
no
already
no
gave you
no.
an
So
analogy.
Hold on, can I just jump in
my
really quickly because I just done this for him? Transitioning to a plant-based diet addresses world hunger by drastically improving caloric efficiency. Roughly a third of global crop calories are fed to livestock, resulting in a massive loss of energy. By eating plants directly, we could feed an additional 4 billion people. An additional 4 billion people. So you would be saving 4 billion lives just by shifting, just if we all shifted to a plant-based diet.
do
4
you
billion just in terms of being able to feed those
yeah.
people.
Do
Okay.
you
And
mind?
that 4 billion is a huge number. Okay. So also then you have to like remember that's not all that you're doing. That's not including the people that would be less likely to die from heart disease. Okay, that's not including the people who would not be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder after working in slaughterhouses. That's just a very
Exactly.
a small amount of the net positive. Like, you know,
So do you
Just to be
mind citing
clear,
the source?
well, the justification you used, right,
the
was it props up global economies, right? People are going to lose their jobs. If that's a justification, then and you would be in contradiction and opposing fossil fuels, right? Because fossil fuels prop up the economy. People would lose their jobs if everyone stopped
Well,
using fossil
no,
fuels,
because
right?
here's the thing. When we talk about what's net negative or net positive in society, right? We're not just using the same criteria all the time. So you're assuming that I'm going to use the same criteria in every situation. That's just not true, right? So I can use planetary protection, for example, and like saving our environment in one circumstance, and also not use it in another situation, because we have to demonstrate. It's like giving. It's basically giving different weights to different variables depending on what the net negative and net positive impact looks like, right? So in the case of labor, like if you can demonstrate,
What's the net negative of going vegan?
do you mean like as an individual?
The net negative of going vegan, right, is you saying it's going to reduce like jobs and also global economies rely on like agriculture or whatever. Is those are the things that you said were the net negatives, correct?
In that particular context, yes.
Okay, the net negatives of fossil fuels, what are they? Of not using fossil fuels?
If we're
The same
talking
exact thing,
about
right?
fossil fuels, right, companies, polluting the air,
Yeah.
with fossil fuels, then
Well, the net
we
negatives
have to
of
look
people
at.
stop using the net
Well,
negatives of
let me
people
finish
stop using fossil
talking.
fuels.
Every time
I'm
I
not saying the
speak,
net negatives of fossil. Yeah,
sure. Every
but
time
you're
I
not
speak,
answering
you
the
go on a
question.
different train of thought.
I'm not asking you to give me the net negatives of the fossil fuels themselves. I'm asking you to give me what are the net negatives of the all of us like everyone to stop using fossil fuels.
Yeah, that's not really what I was going to say.
I
What I
know
was going to
I know
say.
exactly. You're not answering the question.
No, I'm trying to finish my point first. What I was going to say is that when it comes to like fossil fuels, the first example, companies polluting, the atmosphere with fossil fuels. Climate scientists have already demonstrated the net negative impact on the planet, right? Like the fact that polluting the planet with these fossil fuels technically does more harm to everyone, including the human race, not just the world, the planet, net negative. When it comes to like the system of labor that we have, which is not vegan a lot of the times, I haven't seen climate scientists demonstrate the net negative of sticking
okay,
with the
can I
current.
let me just I've just done some searching
And
here.
even
Transitioning,
then,
listen, I think this is really important. If your whole thing is about net positive for humans, then okay, we've got here over 16 sites. Transitioning to a vegan world would yield significant net positives for humans. Primary benefits include a massive reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, vastly improved cardiovascular health from plant-based diets, and decreased risk of zoonotic pandemics. I mean, and that's not even naming them all, of course. Okay,
yeah.
like it would be better for the environment, which would be better for our future generation. It's better for health, especially heart health. And of course, we know so many pandemics have been started through the consumption of animal products.
Yeah.
Which has resulted in so many deaths as well. I mean,
the way that you're
there are so many
measuring,
net positives, and I think you should really look into this, because clearly it's something that you think is important. So if that's truly as important as you're making it out to be to you, then you should be very much interested in actually looking into this. And then can we just I just want to ask you, if you found out that there was a net positive for the human race, if we all shifted to plant-based eating and vegan lifestyles, would you go vegan?
well, it depends on how you're measuring if something's negative or
Then
positive,
this whole
right?
conversation
So,
is
like,
pointless,
for
dude.
example,
I'm telling you, if you found out that there was a net positive in your view, you think you found out that a vegan world would result in a net positive, and that was something that was also a net positive in your mind, which seems to be different to just everyone else's here. Would you go vegan?
if it's satisfied the way that I measure what's net positive,
Oh my
right,
god.
versus net
Okay, so
negative,
how do
then
you
yeah.
measure what's net positive? I'm giving you factual evidence that it would actually result in a net positive. And you're just saying, well, my view of what's net positive is different. It can't be. There either is a net positive or there isn't.
Do you think that the way we measure what's net positive or net negative to society is objective or subjective?
But I'm telling you, in your view, if there was a net positive in your view, would you go vegan?
Yes, I would.
100%. You genuinely would.
You said in my view, so yes, I
Yeah.
would.
And a net positive in your view would be like many humans would benefit, more humans would benefit if we went vegan, right?
Again, I said it's context specific.
And then what do you mean by net positive?
Yes, like if humans could see a net positive impact from it, yes, generally speaking, that's what I want.
I've just told you.
But like I said before, there are situations where we have the planet, for example, climate or fossil fuel emissions.
Yes, the
When
single
it comes to
biggest thing you
fossil
can
fuel
do.
emissions, yes. So in that case, like it does inconvenience us when you think about like us not being allowed to pollute through like gas-powered vehicles, for example, but it still benefits us as a human species in terms of existence if we don't do any fossil fuels. So it inconveniences us because we can't use gas-powered vehicles anymore. But on the whole, on aggregate, we still survive as a human species because fossil fuels are generally seen as like climate destructing, planet destroying things. So there's a lot of nuance to every situation. I can't just say it's
basically,
like,
how are you ever going to find out, in your view, whether there is a net positive result when it's so complex? Nobody's done a study, sorry to tell you, on whether it would be a net positive in your view. Because you're
that's
making
the whole
it
point.
so...
The whole point is that it's
so
so
maybe you need to let go of that a little bit. If there's no way of you knowing which is going to be more positive,
well, that's
then
the
how
whole
are you
point.
ever going to
The way
do
that
right by your own...
Yeah, that's the whole point.
It's
The way that
never going to be a net positive in his view because he really likes his dino nuggies and chocolate milk.
the way
So
that
no
you
matter
weigh the way that you weigh the merits or demerits of a topic is you just do it through your own worldview, right? And so
Your
obviously I'm gonna have
worldview
my
is
own worldview.
basically everything could potentially be the same. We may not see any net positives for humans, so I'm just gonna exploit, harm, and kill animals anyway, even though it doesn't result in any positives or...
Well, I'm not just going to stick to my intuition. I'm also going to use like data research to try to like prove
You don't
myself
have any
wrong.
data or research to prove
I could
yourself
easily
right.
find you a source that goes against what you're saying.
And I could easily find a source that would agree with what I'm saying.
Exactly.
What did she say that you disagree
Exactly.
with?
So you have two options. Okay?
So then
Let's
what's the
say
point
that,
of like
that
what's
let's
the point of
say
appealing to empirics then?
exactly. What is the point here? It's like you have no idea whether veganism, let's say you have no idea whether veganism will result in a net positive. You also have no idea that not being vegan will result in a net positive. Okay? Therefore, shouldn't you just like take into consideration something other than the net positives of the human species? Or is that the only thing you're capable of actually giving a shit about?
I mean, I'm honestly curious, why don't you value animal suffering? Why don't you morally value
Yeah.
their suffering and their perspectives?
I morally value it if we can demonstrate a net negative
That's
on
not
the
you.
human race.
It's not
But
about
that's not
fucking humans.
you. That's not
You're centering
you.
humans. You're centering humans
Yes,
and
that's
their
exactly
suffering.
what I'm doing. Yes.
She's
Acknowledge who
asking
they
you, do you
are.
not
They're
care about the
subjective
suffering of
individuals.
animals?
Do you not care about their subjective individual experience
Okay.
of immense suffering? Because they have the same
Yeah.
nociceptors.
Mhm.
Mothers separated from their infants
Yeah.
show intense distress for up
Yeah.
to weeks. They show all the same moral qualifiers that humans do that makes humans morally matter because we use our empathy.
I understand.
So why
Yeah.
doesn't their experiences morally matter to you?
You are seeing this through the perspective. You're centering the animals, right? I'm
Centering
not
the
centering the
victims.
animals.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yes,
how
but she's
morals
asking-
work. You have to
Oh.
observe the victims in the situation. They are victims.
Even if that might be true, I'm not centering the victims here.
It's
That's not
factually
part of my
true.
moral philosophy.
You have to study the effects to the victims.
For example,
So
okay,
why
for
why
example,
don't you morally value their suffering?
Yeah.
What is the justification?
obviously, technically speaking, if I slaughter a chicken, if someone slaughters a chicken, right? So they can eat the chicken after. Technically, that chicken is a victim, but doesn't necessarily make it bad. So
Did that chicken experience their bodily autonomy violated, their life
Yes.
violated?
For
and,
sure, yeah.
like, pain, yes.
yeah,
Why
I
don't
don't-
you value that?
I don't value it because it's not part of the human species.
Just repeating.
It's
You're
very
saying
well
it's not
part of
bad.
the human species.
She's asking you why isn't it bad, and you're just repeating it's not bad. Like, what is this?
Yes, I'm saying no. I didn't just say it's not bad. I said it's not bad because it's not part of the human species, and we can demonstrate a net positive that
Okay.
fact that it sustains human populations.
No, you can't. We just went over the fact that you cannot demonstrate that.
You're saying that the slaughter of millions and billions of chickens doesn't feed billions of people?
No, I just told you. Are you not listening? I just told you we could feed approximately 4 billion more people if we all shifted to plant-based
Sure.
diets. Did you not listen to anything I said?
Even if that was true,
It is true. I
Okay.
gave you the information, and the
Yeah.
sources were the University of Minnesota and Our World in Data.
Okay.
That was their findings. What is your source that wouldn't be the
Okay.
case?
But hold on, I want to pivot back, but you said that wasn't a part of the human species. How is pain, separation, trauma not a part of the human species?
They are.
So why don't you value those same traits in animals?
Because they're not the same species as us. I care about the suffering and emotions of my own people, my own tribe,
But they
more than
experience the same
Yeah.
things humans do. Pain,
yeah.
suffering, separation from their family.
Can you
trauma.
give us a morally significant difference between humans and animals?
I think I already admitted that it is completely arbitrary and subjective.
But could you-
the
could you-
difference?
So why don't you value pain, suffering, and trauma from the non-human perspective? Why don't you respect
Yes, okay.
their autonomy and those experiences?
I don't respect it insofar as we can demonstrate that human beings' well-being and happiness and satisfaction will be maximized. Right. In this case, if we're slaughtering millions of chickens and it feeds millions of human beings, and yes, I can acknowledge that if we can replace it with a vegan food or vegan operations, that could happen. But there's no like meaningful difference between having like a non-vegan versus vegan operation if it's all going to do the same thing, which is feed
I
people.
just told you it's going to feed an additional 4 billion people.
Okay, and if that's the case, I might back up your argument. I might support it.
Okay.
But I don't really
Let's say
see.
we found- Yeah. Let's say we found, we found out people were graping Neanderthals, right? And their argument for why they're doing that is it's maximizing human pleasure, well-being. Why is that? That's totally okay on your view, right? Like doing that to
Yes.
Neanderthal, like
Yes.
What the fuck?
This guy's never gonna go vegan. He's just here for an argument.
Okay, yeah, but why don't you consider pain an experience of intense trauma and grape of someone just because they don't have enough traits, they don't have the shape of my nose or my eyes or my ears? Why does that not matter to them?
I'll tell you why. Okay.
It has nothing to do with like human, like we can maximize exploitation. I'm just talking like why as
No,
a
yeah,
base level, because we talked about burning puppies. Like a guy just had a hobby burning puppies. Why do those puppies not matter to you? Why does their pain and suffering? It's the same thing as tossing a bag of human
The
babies.
fact that this is causing so much emotional turmoil for everyone, the fact that the idea of a man burning puppies causes so much pain to everyone, I think is good enough evidence for the fact that he probably shouldn't do it, right?
Okay, so do you think we should burn a bag of baby pigs? Is it okay for us to do that? Because they're going to go into gas
if collectively,
anyway.
if collectively as a society we say we should not do that, it's going to cause suffering to all of us emotionally, mentally as well, then I would say no.
But I'm asking about your framework. I don't give a fuck about what other people think.
Well, that's my framework.
Based on your framework.
He doesn't
what do you
have
think
it.
about it? Like
My
you're just
framework
appealing
is
to the popular opinion. I want how you feel about it. Do you think it's okay to burn baby piggies in a bag? Just toss in the bag and let them burn. Do you think that's okay to do?
Well, it's not part of the human species, and if it
Oh
does
my God.
satisfy the net, if it does
What
produce a
about-
net positive,
You are
in aggregate,
incapable
One second,
of forming
one second.
your own individual opinion on a situation because your entire framework is based on other people, okay, and just people. You are completely incapable of forming an opinion as an individual on this,
Yeah,
on what you actually think of the suffering in and of itself.
I
Remove other
wouldn't.
people.
Yeah,
If you existed in this world alone, okay, would you think that burning a bag of puppies or a bag of pigs was a good thing?
And leave the whole the whole human experience portion out of this.
yeah.
If you were the only person that
Personally,
existed.
yeah. Personally, I wouldn't do it. No.
Hey,
So I don't think
but
it would
you're
be
paying
okay.
for that to
I
happen.
don't think it would be okay for me because it would harm my well-being and my mental state.
Then why are you paying for it if it harms your well-being, that idea?
What
You're
do you
supporting
mean?
something that harms your well-being. You're supporting the gassing of pigs.
Well, I already said before, if it harms our well-being and our,
It
then
does. You
I
just
wouldn't
told me that
support it.
the burning pigs, which is essentially what happens when they're in a CO2 gas chamber, would harm your well-being.
If you can demonstrate that, then sure, yeah.
You just told me. You just told me that would harm your well-being. What do you mean, me demonstrating? You
Well,
just told us it would.
yeah, I
You
mean,
just
if-
demonstrated that yourself.
yes, for me personally. I don't know about other people.
Yeah, so we're not
Okay,
talking about other
give me one
people.
example of a person who would actually positively, like, would experience positive emotions from watching pigs be gassed to death in a CO2 gas chamber.
I mean, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of interesting people out there.
Dude, you're the only guy who actually seems to have total disregard for animals that I've spoken
I
to.
don't know. I'm saying there are people out there who would take pleasure in it. So I'm just saying you'd be surprised.
Look, do you
Yeah,
think they
but
were
there would be
talking
a lot
about?
more people that would take
Look, do you think they
that
were?
would leave with negative emotions from that experience.
Do you think
I
we're
agree.
do you think we're talking about like a fringe minority of people? Like obviously there's going to be like fringe groups or fringe minorities that might have pleasure, but do you think like collectively the consensus is going to be that people are going to enjoy that?
I think most people would not enjoy it. No.
Exactly.
Hey, no gag. So when Adolf Schmittler was like gassing the Jews, right? One of his arguments he would tell people is they aren't really human, right? So this is like one of the most common things he would say in speeches. So let's say he was right, and we actually found out that those people like had DNA such that they are slightly different such that they're not human, right? Would Adolf Schmittler be correct in gassing the Jews?
If you can demonstrate a net positive impact for the world, then yes, he would be correct.
Yeah, the net
You need to
positive
get
is
this
he really
guy
likes
off.
to see them. Yeah, the net
I-
positive is he really likes to see them get gassed. Like, it just brings pleasure to his eyes.
Well, we're not talking about just him. We're talking about like the human race as a whole, right? So if we can demonstrate a net positive impact where everyone can benefit from
How
this.
do you begin to demonstrate that then?
I mean, we already do that with like climate data or like climate change data. So I don't really know how you would demonstrate it here, but
Yeah, but like you kind of like threw that out the window.
I don't
5
think
minutes
I
ago
don't.
when you put in question any kind of like empirical data because data could support either side, right? So
well, yes. I mean, we can look at the empirical data that at least I present. I mean, you could test that against like the one that the other person presented here, the vegan person.
yeah, but like look, equally I could like you could present data where like that happens with emissions and like you know I'm sure the petroleum companies could present data that undermines that, right, and supports their position, right? So what like you still haven't given us a way that how we could demonstrate that there's going to be a net positive.
You can't really demonstrate it super objectively because, like I said, it's all based on interpretation and like our own methodologies that we use to make the data.
So then why keep on appealing to this notion of a net positive when it's a standard that is unattainable?
Because net positive is also a subjective interpretation.
There's
like
no-
what
there's
you
no-
believe what you believe is net positive is going to be different from what I say it is. 'Cause that's why you're going to bring up different
Yeah.
resources or different
So,
sources.
so basically, dude, you can't demonstrate that there would be a net positive in your view.
When my
of
view, I could.
not-
I don't know if in my view I could. I
Why
don't know if
haven't
I
you
could
done that
convince
then?
you.
Yeah,
Why
so
haven't you done that?
How would you do it in your view?
Because it's not about your view,
yeah,
remember?
so-
It's
so-
about the net positive. It's about how the other people feel. How can you know?
You can't.
You
So-
can't.
so-
you can't.
so
Yeah. So you don't
basically,
actually care about other people. You care about how
I-
you feel that other people might feel.
I can try to convince you of the sources that I have to cite, the empirical evidence that I have to cite, but I can't say that it's like objectively better than your source that you give me because like I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
we have
that's
to
what
test
we're
it.
saying. Then you cannot use that because it's unattainable. It does not.
You can use it.
You
yeah,
cannot
you can.
reach. No, you cannot reach a conclusion on whether it is going to result in a net positive or not.
It's based on how convinced you are of what you're reading. That's what I'm saying. Like you're
Okay,
convinced.
so-
You're more convinced by the other source you gave. I'm more convinced by the one I give.
Listen,
You
VeganFairy
haven't given
earlier
us a
said that
source.
she said earlier that going vegan would help feed a lot more people. It's better for the environment. Zoonotic diseases. It would
Mhm.
reduce all-cause mortality in humans.
Yeah.
It would reduce the mental health effects of people working in these environments where they have to slaughter thousands of animals on a daily basis, etc. Right. So she gave all of these positives, right? Do you deny that like taking all that into account, it wouldn't be like a net positive on society if we were to do all of those things?
I'm sure there are plenty of sources that rebut that and say there's
That
no.
wasn't my
it's not a net
question.
positive.
That wasn't my
it's
question.
factually
That wasn't my
true.
question.
I don't know about that.
That wasn't my question. My question is, if it were the case, right, that we could reduce, we could feed more people, less zoonotic diseases, right, environmental, reduce all-cause mortality, etc. Do all of these things, what VeganFairy said and cited, by the way, would it be the case that that would be a net positive?
If I'm convinced by that research and the data,
but
then
like
yeah,
now,
I would.
look, you keep on moving this goalpost, right? Because it's like now it's a matter of whether it convinces you or not, right? So like it
Yes.
boils, yeah, great. It boils down to you holding some type of position and appealing to empirics, appealing to net positives, appealing to all these things does fuck all, right? Because at the end of the day, we could present all this data and you could just fall back to like, well, I mean, it's not, I don't interpret it this way. It's not convincing. And because everything is subjective, I could still hold to my position.
Yeah, like I said before, like we can have two competing sources, but if your source can in some way be convincing enough for me, then just realistically I could adopt your position if it's convincing
What is your
enough.
But
competing
this
source
constant
against
for me,
her
for me,
source?
for me means you're just going to change it based on how you feel.
Yeah.
You don't want to be vegan because you like the taste of animal products. let's
think you're
be honest.
assuming. I
No,
think you're
I'm not assuming
that
anything, dude. I think it's very
yeah,
clear
you're
now.
assuming that
You
I'm
like
like
the taste of animal products, so you don't want to be vegan. It's a little bit
so
inconvenient for you. You'd have to give up certain things that you maybe like. So
yeah.
regardless of what we say, you're going to be like, well, for me, this is not the way it is. For me, so that
Yeah.
you don't have to take any fucking
Mhm.
accountability for the fact that you literally pay for animals to be tortured to death.
I mean, you could be right about that, but you're also
Thank you. Yeah,
you're
so
also
why are you
you're
here?
also
Like,
wrong. Yeah, you could be right about that, but you're also wrong that like I'm headstrong in my opinions. Like I could definitely change if you had convincing enough evidence or research.
Wait, do you
Like
think?
Oh,
Do you
she
think?
cited
Hold on. Do
she
you think
cited a
that?
meta-analysis
Do you
she
that
didn't
think
said
cite a
that?
that we could
source.
feed more
I
people.
did. I said in terms of the 4 billion.
No, I asked for a source, not the
Yeah,
information.
in terms of the
Yeah.
4 billion feeding the additional 4 billion people, I said it was the University of Minnesota and the Our World in Data. Those were the two places that were listed as
Okay.
that found that
Yeah.
to be the case.
Yeah, I mean,
Study called
I would
Reducing
have
Foods and Environmental
I would
Impacts,
have
right? It's
to
a
compare
meta-analysis
that.
showing that we could feed more people on a plant-based diet,
Yeah,
right?
for
What's your
sure.
yeah, you said you have a competing source against that. What is that?
Can I?
I didn't say I have one. Like if I
Okay,
said
so you
if
don't
I
have
said
one.
that if
Great.
I said that I could find something and I would have to compare that against your source. I mean, you should always do that. Like look at different sources, right?
So the challenge I have for you, do you believe in the hierarchy of evidence?
I don't
Like
know what
you
that
understand like
means.
meta-analysis. Well, we understand like a meta-analysis would be at the hierarchy of evidence in scientific literature. A meta-analysis is just, a peer-reviewed study or multiple studies that fuck, I can't say the word, but multiple studies into one, right? That in according to scientific literature, meta-analysis is the hierarchy of evidence. So if she cited a meta-analysis stating that we could feed billions of more people on a plant-based diet, and if you were to say that is a net positive, right, to feed more people, I'm assuming you'd say something like that. And then you go, well, I can give you a source that competes against that. My challenge to you is to find me a meta-analysis that says, actually, we can't feed more people on a plant-based diet, because that would
So
counter what she said.
yeah, I would say a meta-analysis is not like the best form of research. I mean, if you can do primary research, that is the best form. A meta-analysis is just simply an analysis of other analyses. It's not really like its own primary proprietary research. So if you can get me something that's proprietary, it is primary, meaning they have their own like original sources. They did it themselves, like the research, experimentation, that's fine. But a meta-analysis is just very surface level. It's just like descriptive, basically. I mean, I would have to look at all the different sources. Like I said, I only know what you gave
Meta-analysis
me.
is a review. A meta-analysis is a study or a review of multiple different studies. Which is more? Which would convince you more? Multiple studies or just one study?
I mean, a meta-analysis could interpret multiple studies, sure, but it could also have its own like interpretation of the methodology. Whereas like a primary study is original research, like it collected its own participants. It's original research. Everyone knows original research is the best research. I think it depends on like what you're trying to study. Like meta-analyses aren't always the best for different topics.
Okay, so
but
a
yeah, I
meta-analysis
agree,
is a conglomerate of multiple different individual original research, right? If you're saying individual research or original research is better than a meta-analysis is multiple of that.
They serve different purposes. Okay, a meta-analysis is good if after you've read primary research. I haven't read primary research on this.
So a meta-analysis is a review of randomized control trials, right? A randomized control
so you
trial
want to be
is,
able to read those trials firsthand before actually reading a description
do
or
you
review
know
of
what
those
a
trials.
do you know what a randomized control trial is?
Yes.
Yeah, so a randomized control trial would also be at the pinnacle of, scientific literature on how, on like what is published, right? It's like, so, and a meta-analysis is multiple,
a
randomized control trials.
A meta-analysis reviewing, like a study reviewing different randomized trials is not the same as like reading an actual randomized trial study on its own without like having someone interpret it, right? So like obviously
So if we
you
were
want
to
to read
find out
both.
that there's So if we were to find out that there's a meta-analysis done on this topic, the randomized control trials done on this topic, found that we could feed more people on a plant-based diet, right? Would that convince you that we could feed more people on a plant-based diet?
That's one step toward convincing me, yes.
Okay, how would someone convince you of anything if it's not the pinnacle of scientific research?
I didn't say that it wasn't. I thought I said
Okay, this
that
guy's, I don't
primary.
know. I mean,
I thought I said primary research is the pinnacle, like original research. So if you can find me, like,
I just want to get back to like why does burning a bag of puppies or pigs make you uncomfortable?
I mean, that's a good question for like psychologists, I guess. I don't really know exactly.
No, what
the
does make
mechanism
you
behind it.
uncomfortable? You're the only person that can actually honestly answer that question.
I mean, I'm sure you can more than me because I can find a
What?
way to
I can
justify
answer
it.
why it makes you feel uncomfortable.
hang on.
Then I
Wait,
should be
hang
able
on.
to tell you that you would feel there would be a net positive by going vegan, because apparently I know how you feel more than you do. Like, dude, this
Yeah.
entire thing is about how you feel. But when you're asked why does it make you feel uncomfortable when we burn a bag of puppies, you expect like me to answer that better than you. The question is, why do you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, and also with psychology, I have a psych degree. We don't look into like how it makes you uncomfortable and why it makes you uncomfortable. You would know best.
Yeah, what I thought you asked me was like how can I explain other people's preferences? But if we're just talking
No.
about me, then even if we're just talking about me, like I couldn't get you like the clinical mechanisms behind it, right? But I could just tell you from a surface level, it probably makes me uncomfortable if I see it because it's if it cries or if it looks like it's crying or suffering in the same way a human being could. I mean, I've heard puppies and like cats like cry when they're hurt, like a human being would cry. So that kind of mirrors this type of suffering that we see in human beings. So again, I don't have all the explanations, but that's sort of my intuitive understanding, like at least one intuitive understanding of why I might not be happy seeing a puppy suffering in a burning bag. So I think there are biological explanations, right? Psychological explanations for why that might be harmful for human beings to witness as a whole, as a collective. So I think it's more nuanced.
Do you think it's because we morally value pain and suffering because we also experience pain and suffering, so we understand what pain and suffering feels like to that subjective individual?
Partly, yes. But I also think that human beings think in more nuanced terms than that when they talk about like chickens or like pigs. Like, obviously human beings have this really weird, unique, special relationship to dogs and cats and puppies, but like it's completely different when it comes to like chickens and pigs.
Not necessarily.
Like,
well, a lot of people do.
That's part of like speciesism. Like we're trained to view certain animals certain ways, even though there's not really a moral difference at all between the animals.
Yeah, I agree. It's all socialized. It's all subjective and socially constructed. If like we could easily evolve as a society to think that doing the same thing to like chickens or cows or pigs is bad too, just as bad as doing it to a dog or a cat or like a puppy. So that kind of ties into what I believe, that it's all subjective, it's all random, socially constructed.
Yeah, so why do you subscribe to speciesism? Like, it's completely arbitrary. You've admitted it is. And even though it does, like, you do have a sense of value for like pain and suffering, why are you so indifferent to this happening to pigs and chickens and cows?
Because when we think about the difference between harming a puppy versus like harming a pig or like a cow or chicken, at least in the United States, obviously doing that to a chicken or like unaliving chickens and pigs and cows, that usually results in feeding millions of us. Whereas like most people in America don't eat dogs or puppies or cats. So someone who does that is usually doing it out of like maybe pleasure at seeing suffering on its own versus like having a desire to eat the puppy after. Like as a society, if it fed us, and I know in some countries, obviously, they have that.
You don't really care if it feeds people, because I would just flip this to like something that you do value like a human, and then you're like, no, actually, if it's a net positive, it feeds people, to feed like, you know, aborted fetuses or small children to like people. You'd say, well, it's just a human aspect. So you don't actually care about that. Like, I'm just like, regardless if it's fed to people or not, we're looking at necessity, and we know that much of it is not necessary.
Yeah.
You can greatly start reducing it. And that's really where we're at with veganism. We're just wanting people to assess in their own personal lives what they can abstain from, because the less we support those industries, the more like plant-based options will start appearing. And that's what we've seen with like Walmart and a lot of these companies. They're far more interested in the plant-based dietary changes, because we're already up to just a small percentage of people taking interest in avoiding like animal products and wanting alternatives. So why not be a part of the solution instead of the same problem that's just based on discrimination? And you've admitted that it's based on just discrimination in most cases, not even necessity.
Yeah, I'm willing to acknowledge reality there. And I'll say that when it comes to feeding people, you mentioned eating aborted fetuses or something like that, right? In that case, that would be overriding the initial principle I laid out of like it being part of the human species.
But you already mentioned it's arbitrary. I don't give a fuck about if it's the human species or not.
I know.
You've conceded it's arbitrary, and it's just
Well, you believe it's arbitrary too.
No, pain is not arbitrary. Pain is something very freaking real.
No. I meant what
species is arbitrary. So when
Yes,
you're
I
valuing someone
understand.
just on species, completely arbitrary. Stop it. What the moral value, and we've acknowledged, it's pain and suffering,
I'm saying-
and bodily autonomy is being violated, and the suffering that comes from that. That's the morally relevant part of the discussion, not whose member family that they're in.
I'm saying what's morally, like what you're morally valuing, the type of pain you're morally valuing is different from mine. That's what I meant by arbitrary, right? Like we both agree that like, I don't know if you agree with like the death penalty. Can I say that? But like some of you might agree with it. So you agree at least with some sort of suffering. It's not entirely bad in its own. It's just the way, like the type of suffering we assign value to, I guess, and how we see it.
I avoid abuse, unnecessary harm.
Okay, that's a good cop out then. Because you're saying that's a good way to justify it.
You could totally look at suffering in any levels of society and consider, was this justified or not to cross someone's bodily autonomy and take off their head? Is this justified for me to do? You can definitely reflect in society and determine if it's necessary or not.
Do you think that both sides?
And
do you think that
in your life, like you were just based on off just convenience? I don't think convenience is a strong argument to like unalive someone and take off their head. Just because it's convenient for you, you shouldn't do it.
Do you have the same view on abortion?
I don't like to talk about the abortion topic.
Okay,
so
just
like,
curious.
please don't pivot.
So
I just don't think convenience or species is a very strong argument to violate someone's bodily like autonomy and take away the one thing that they value most is their life. And these animals have that sense that they want to protect and preserve their lives, and they do value their lives, and we see that.
Yeah, and like I said, do you think like both sides could have reasonable arguments for like the type of suffering they value and or don't value?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Okay, for example, you said that you implied that there's some suffering that you can justify because you said unnecessary, right? So there's unnecessary suffering is bad. So there's some necessary suffering that you would be willing to justify.
Like survival or self-defense.
Sure. So obviously you have these like value rankings or whatever you want to call it, you attach to certain types of suffering or extents of suffering, right? I have different ways I guess I have different thresholds or like different rankings of suffering that I value or don't value. Like you don't value the suffering of a pig.
Consent? Do you value consent?
when it comes to non-human beings, or like non-human beings, no, I don't.
Okay, so you have no consent. Does that mean you have consent?
Also, how does like a pig consent?
They can't. So if you have no consent, if they're a moral patient, does that mean you have consent to violate their body, force breed them, separate like the mothers and babies? Like, does that mean that you have consent to do that? Does that entitle you to a right to do that if they can't consent?
No, but I'm not using consent ethics to defend like slaughtering them to eat them. I'm using like sustenance. I'm using, you know, making sure that we can feed everyone without feeding them
Dude,
non-human
oh my
animals.
god. Oh my god. How many times we could feed more people if we were vegan? You keep like
I
bringing up.
understand.
You
Yes.
keep saying that we could feed more people with meat.
I understand. I understand your argument.
No, but you're not listening. You're not actually even entertaining the idea that we might be
I'm
correct.
not.
But you're unable to provide us with a source that would say otherwise.
Sure, yeah. I'm. The reason why I'm not really considering your argument when I talk is because I haven't really entertained it very much beyond this discussion. So I can't really say I can meaningfully adopt it.
But
as
you
my
you you
worldview.
do keep bringing up the fact that we could feed more people. Like you're like, oh,
Yes.
we need to feed all these people with meat. But I've told you that even if you want to cut the number in half of the amount of people that these studies are showing us we could feed additionally, it would still be 2 billion, which is massive. There is just no evidence to suggest that we could feed more people if we continued consuming animal products. There is so much evidence to that shows the contrary, that we are not feeding everybody. We know world hunger is a huge issue, right? We are not feeding everyone. There are children dying from starvation, and we're managing to feed 90 billion animals every single year, but we can't even feed the 9 billion humans on the planet.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to.
Stop using, like, you're not providing us with any source to back up any of the claims that you're making. And that is a
Yeah.
huge problem. You've asked for us to back up our claims. You've asked for, like, studies, evidence. We're giving you that. You have not provided us with
Yeah.
a source that would support your argument. So please stop using that. You cannot use that. You have no evidence to prove that that would be the case. We have evidence to prove that it would not be the case.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't given you a source. I could definitely provide you one.
Go on then,
that
do it right now.
Again, I'd have to Google it. It's just gonna take time.
Oh, time. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, of course. Don't provide us with a source
So why are
then.
you assuming animal ag is more efficient and better? Like, why are you assuming this? Why haven't you done the research before coming up and trying to argue from animal ag position?
I know there are sources out there for this that can compete with yours.
Go on then. We'll give you like a couple of minutes to find one. If it's so true, it shouldn't be hard to find it. Right? It should be really
But
quick.
the
You
fact
should do one
that
quick Google search and then there it is.
the fact that pigs and cows feed billions of people every year.
No, the fact that we would feed more people if we continued to eat animal products would be the one you want to search for.
Well, that wasn't my claim. That was yours.
But my point is, you didn't take the time to study animal ag before coming up here. I know animal ag very intimately because I grew up on farming culture. I know everything about animal ag, and it's one of the worst way to go when you're wanting to feed mass populations. So it's just, you didn't study this before coming up here, and you're arguing from the animal ag position. Is it just because you like the taste of meat? Is that it? You're just immediately choosing a bias without actually doing the research that you need to?
Well, I would say the same thing about you. Have you done the research on my side?
Yes, I grew up in animal ag. I spent years before going vegan researching why veganism is bad.
Wait,
I
so
did all that shit.
So you haven't seen the sources that compete with your claims?
There aren't. I've literally, the research I have done, okay, and the evidence, the sources I have provided with you today are not from like vegan like they're not vegan studies, and I didn't ask this. I didn't type these questions in from like a vegan standpoint. I said, would a vegan world result in a net positive for humans? Okay, it's not like I'm looking for an. I'm not researching particular things so that I get the answer that I want. I'm literally asking the questions that you're claiming. Like it's so obvious. You're not even willing to provide us with a source. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, it will take
I mean, it's
time.
also
Well, guess what? We've spent like an hour talking to you now since I've joined.
And to
So
be clear,
It's also
to be clear, that was the position, right? Because when you made the claim that billions of people are fed by these animals, and VeganFairy said, look, it's just a net positive that more people are going to be fed if we went on a vegan diet. Your claim was, well, I could find a study that goes against that, right? That's what we're asking you to go ahead and do. Go find the study that goes against that claim.
Yeah, we'll give you 5 minutes. Go.
Yeah, but it's also
it
just
shouldn't even take that long if
entropy
it's true,
and
though.
Yeah, I mean, I have a thing
Yeah,
here for you.
I mean, this was the first thing that came up. Look, we've got here.
I can give you
where
one
is it?
right now.
Listen, it's also just entropy, right? Like you can't, like it's obviously going to take more energy to raise animals and then feed the animals and then eat the animals because energy is lost up the trophic scale. It would take a lot more energy to do that rather than just eat the plants directly. So how are you like in what source you might be providing, bro? How are you going to like combat the second law of thermodynamics?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's relevant. I don't understand what you're saying. But I will cite the
obviously we could
sources.
feed more people if you just eat the plants directly instead of growing plants to feed the animals and then eating the animals because energy is lost when you go up the trophic scale.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Cool.
Okay.
You don't
Okay,
doubt
well, go
that.
find the
Oh,
studies.
thank fuck.
Go find
Thank
the
you.
studies. You should be grateful that so many cool people gave you so much time tonight. But I'm not having the conversation until you can like back up some of your claims. I'm just pointing out that you have a bias, you haven't researched, and you should listen to your intuitions about why it makes you uncomfortable to burn a bag of puppies and think about the farmed animals who are in these systems unnecessarily. Humans have technology, we have alternatives. There's so much data on this at every level when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to climate change. You need to start researching. Don't request up talk about veganism without actually being a genuine person and going and doing just a little bit of research. It doesn't take much effort.
Yeah, in addition to that, you need therapy, my dude. Like major therapy.
And just to add, so we already know that we could feed an additional 4 billion people if we were living in a vegan world. Also, an Oxford study has found that basically plant-based eating, we could prevent 8.1 million human deaths per year and save $1 trillion in healthcare and cut greenhouse emissions by 70%. So even when you're just looking at how it would positively impact the human species, the numbers are just astronomically high, and how many people would be saved if we did shift to a vegan world. So there's just no argument. Like we're looking at 5 billion lives saved, and he still wants to say that, well, for me, I'm not sure that's quite a net positive. Like how is that even possible?
I hope that they were just trolling, but I don't know.
I don't
Just to be
think he
clear,
genuinely believed anything he said.
I wasn't saying that the study that VeganFairy provided was a collection of cohort or randomized control trials. I was just asking him what type of evidence would he need, and I was citing randomized control trials or cohort studies as strong evidence, right? I'm like, what type of evidence would you need or would have to be cited to change your mind, right? But the study that the reducing foods and environmental impacts, right? Those are LCAs. They're not random. They're not RTCs or cohort studies.
I mean,
Yeah,
whatever
that's
we
interesting.
said.
It's definitely important, and I wish this was like more of classes, especially in high school. Like actually, like there are classes about studies, guys, and how studies function. I think that we need to normalize this a lot more because it's very important for us to be literate in these things. And I need to refresh that class. I had it in college, but I need to refresh it. It was a very interesting class to get into.
But no matter what we said, he would, you know, he'd be like, yeah, I mean, but for me, like it always came back to his his view on whether it would actually be a net positive. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing is like when we're like looking at what we ought to do when it comes to reducing harm, like we're trying to look at the victim situation, their perspective. Like it doesn't make sense to center the oppressor when we're talking about the victims. That would be like centering, for example, like the slave owners' experiences over like the millions of people that were exploited and unalived during that time period.
well, he did say that, if raping people, increased pleasure, that would be justified. So at that point, I was kind of like, yeah,
It's
okay.
not always good to be consistent on some views. You should be able to, change your view and like,
Yeah.
no matter what, I don't think it's justified, even if humans got net positive from it.
I mean, yeah, I find it funny how Lydia was like, yeah, why isn't it bad to burn puppies alive? And he goes, well, it's not bad because it's not bad. And if you ask him, why is that not bad? He goes, oh, it's not bad because that's not bad. It's just, I don't know how his brain works, but I hope a lot of people's brains don't work like that.
He didn't
That would
even
suck.
he didn't even justify why slavery and the G slide was bad, or was not necessarily bad.
Well, no, he said it would actually be good if there was a net positive. Like
Yeah,
found.
quick
So
review-
like there's
quick
so
review
many
is like,
points during this conversation where I was just like,
yeah.
Jesus.
For anybody like joining late, a quick review of the things that he said would be okay. One, if you found out your family didn't have human DNA, it'd be okay to infinitely torture them. Two, it'd be okay to infinitely torture puppies for pleasure. Three, if we found out that if we went to a different country and found out there was a group of people living there that weren't human, it'd be okay to G-side them. Four, Adolf Schmittler would have been right if Adolf Schmittler would have been right if he was correct in saying Jews weren't human. Five, what was the other thing, right?
Graping.
Fuck, bro, there are so many. Oh, graping Neanderthals. Yeah.
Did you take notes?
Don't forget about it's okay living in a society where the other people have antithetical moral frameworks. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, after that conversation, I definitely need to get elevated.
Also not seeing his studies here. He's had like 5 minutes now, I think.
All right, I guess I'll take a break. Thank you guys for joining and helping out. That was wild.
Sounds good. Thanks. I'll
Thank
drop
you.
in.
Good night.
Good night.